I'm newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Our program and final program of the week, and hopefully the weekend. You have some nice outdoor plans. It looks like low to mid 80s both tomorrow and Sunday. We'll have more traffic and weather coming up throughout the program. And after our first segment here, as we set things up, another great show. And I've got to tell you, I did not think, especially, I don't know, certainly a year ago today, maybe even like 3 weeks ago, one of the nation's top stories is a baby formula shortage. I got to tell you, friends, it's been a long time since I had a little baby in my household. How does this happen? There are logical reasons as to why it happened in a recall with a company. We'll get into it because it truly is the arguably biggest story that most of the networks, I'm sure here locally, I don't watch local television news, but I'm sure they've gone out to their local supermarkets. Speaking of which, I go to King Soopers today, and it was one of those bigger grocery trips. You know, sometimes you just, I'll be in and out in 10 minutes. This one was, I knew going in, this minimum 30 minutes. It had been a while. I don't usually cruise down the baby formula, baby diapers, and wipes and baby food aisle. I didn't, but I look over, I see a stack of the three empty shelves, no formula. And that's at the King Soopers in the south part of the metro area. So it truly is real. So we'll get into that in our first segment here. Glad you were with us. There are multiple ways to get in touch with us. Welcome to our, where's my camera? There, you switched it on me. Never tell, quote unquote, talent about any camera moves. You know, I'm just busting your chop there, Matt. Chops. I don't think you just have one chop. If you did, that'd be like a hockey player with like one tooth. So welcome. Hello to our friends watching, or maybe later, you will on the 710 KNUS YouTube channel, live simulcasts there. You can text the studio via the app, of course. Our website, 710knus.com/Steffan. Welcome to our potential global audience listening live stream. You can send an email via the app or the website to my inbox. And of course, look for those commercial break-free podcasts on both of those as well. Our number, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. We will have at least one guest coming up in our 5 o'clock hour when it comes to the baby formula shortage, and see what they're doing and how they're dealing with it locally. We will talk with at least one program and see how it's going for them. Is there anything that any of us can do? I mean, you can't give them money. I mean, I guess you could, but well, they're not going to be able to go out and buy any. So we'll talk about that again. There's some, I don't know, interesting information to say the least. It depends on what news outlet you look at what time of day this afternoon specifically. Are we looking at Finland and Sweden and just a matter of time before both of those countries are successful in their respective efforts to join NATO? Specifically Finland, that, not to try to school you on geography, but Finland does share a border with Russia. Well, some people remember when we had our very strange, still boggles my mind, but Matt and I remember it was a couple of months ago when we had that pro-Putin Tuesday. And one of the things, I can't believe you are saying so many mean things about Russia and Putin, and this is why the West kept poking the bear. Well, if you thought that Ukraine wanting to be, or promised, wink, wink, to become a member of NATO, if you got rid of your nukes, well, what do you think about Finland and Sweden potentially becoming NATO members? If you said that Ukraine was poking the Russian bear 2 months ago, I can only imagine what some of our pro-Putin Tuesday back in the day people would say about this. So we'll continue to follow that. And the reason I say it depends on what time of day you're you're looking. Now, the latest from our partners at CBS News within the last, certainly within the last 90 minutes, one of the headlines is Finland and Sweden's efforts to join NATO could be in jeopardy. But they're certainly trying, and we'll have more coming up this weekend on the American Veterans Show as well. 303-696-1971. We'll also tell you about the death of an actor that he's one of those, you may not know his name. However, you certainly would know his face. He played, for example, in The Right Stuff. He played Gus Grissom, the astronaut. He was in that cheesy film that may or may not be our film coming up for next week. You ever see Tremors? The actor Fred Ward died, and he was always one of those kind of tough guys. I remember his first role that I saw him in, and then in doing a little bit of research, I did not know it was his very first film he was in. It was Clint Eastwood's Escape from Alcatraz. But Fred Ward, I had thought he passed away today. He actually passed away May 8th. He was 79, and word just came out from his publicist today on Friday the 13th. So we'll look back, and Fred Ward, a United States Air Force veteran, born in the Navy town of San Diego. So we will talk about that. Hopefully we have time to do that in our first segment before we take our first traffic and weather break. Also, because it's Friday, another incredible week of sound that we have for you. We've arranged things and put the sound of the week in our archive files. And as we have done now for the better part of 2+ months, every Friday, at least a couple of times during the show, simply to play for you as a reminder of stories that you reacted to. Maybe you called in, you sent a text or an email, reacted on social media. So we'll have that coming up later this first hour as well. Let's get into the baby formula shortage first. And we'll take a few different looks at this from various news outlets.
You all keep hearing these stories, we all do, about moms and dads finding empty shelves when they go looking for new supplies of formula for their little babies. This is a national shortage, and it, we're sorry to say, is getting worse. Formula is now 43% out of stock nationwide. That's up from 31% last month. Nancy Cordes will have more on the Biden administration's response in just a moment. But first, we're going to go to Adriana Diaz for more on this story. Adriana, good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, Abbott, the nation's largest supplier of baby formula, headquartered outside Chicago, says its Michigan plant could restart within 2 weeks. But it could be up to 2 months for that new product to land on shelves. You might remember Abbott had to shut its factory down after a recall, and parents have become consumed by the hunt for formula. New mom Jaylene Orellana is so desperate for baby formula, she's willing to drive 14 hours to pick up formula she had her aunt buy in Mexico.
I'd rather be safe, like have cans stocked up, than sorry to my daughter that not knowing when she's going to eat.
This week, the 19-year-old from Houston drove 3 hours to get formula from a dad who didn't need it in Austin. They connected on a social media site like this one, where parents post if they need formula or have extra.
Are you worried that you're not going to be able to find formula for your baby one of these days?
I am. I'm willing to drive whatever I have to drive.
As the shortage grows, families are scrambling, but pediatricians like Dr. Joshua Wexler are warning parents not to water down formula or try homemade recipes.
You can't ensure the micronutrient calorie density is all correct, that you're using the appropriate water source potentially. there might be a lot of issues.
Those who find formula face a tough choice, like Michigan mom Destiny Featherstone, whose youngest is 4 months old.
Yesterday, there was like just enough for her month's supply, and I wanted to get it all, but I was like, I don't want to take from the other babies.
Virginia mom Erica Lopez says she never knows if she'll find formula on the shelves.
When my daughter doesn't drink the whole bottle, I'm like, oh my God, she just wasted like 2-3 ounces. I'm like, that was like a scoop that we could have saved.
Back in Texas, Oriana says she buys extra formula when she sees it, but not for the reason you might think. She says she's sending the extra cans to other families to help them.
That from CBS News. Interestingly, that from CBS News this morning, the reporter has an 8-month-old and was asked after the report ended, have you become kind of part of this story? And sure enough, the reporter even couldn't find much. That was from CBS, this on NBC earlier today.
This morning, parents desperately searching for the vital food their babies need. With soaring inflation and ongoing supply chain delays, parents across the country are facing a crisis with no end in sight. The national out-of-stock average for popular baby formulas jumped to 40% last month. Many major retailers have put limits on how much baby formula you can buy at a time.
It's a bone-deep anxiety of, is my child going to get what they need?
The shortage comes after Abbott Nutrition, a key manufacturer, issued a massive voluntary recall in February, following 4 complaints of bacterial infection linked to baby formula that the CDC says may have contributed to the deaths of 2 infants. The recall shutting down the company's Michigan plant and impacting certain Similac, Alimentum, and L-Care formulas. After an investigation by the FDA and CDC, Abbott conceded that some of its processes were not followed and says it is set out to improve its systems and address the issues raised. The company now telling NBC News there is no evidence to link our formulas to these infant illnesses.
Even just trying to think of going a day with having to be completely off of his regular Abbott formula to something else is stressful.
Jordan Coleman's 9-year-old son Carter suffers from a metabolic disorder that requires a specialized formula that Abbott makes. Without it, the family says he could suffer brain damage, fall into a coma, or die.
He's asked me a couple of times if this means that he's going to die.
That from NBC News. Is it too soon on a Friday afternoon to point out that yet another administration gaffe? We went big on the state legislature yesterday, the 2022 legislative session wrapping up, and I loved what Minority Leader Hugh McKean said, quote, "They own this." Now, it may be a stretch. I want to be fair. I mean, right now, if Donald Trump were president and there was a problem at a facility making baby formula, you wouldn't put up with a news report saying it was his fault either. So I also want to be, again, I'm a fair talk show host. I tell you the truth. But it's also fact. Joe Biden, yet another problem in this country, and he is at the White House. And doesn't it always seem, I've always thought this as a newsman, in Colorado, if there's a national, there's always some kind of Colorado angle, in this case, a Colorado angle to the baby formula shortage.
This morning, the FDA is looking at ways to import more baby formula to ease the worsening shortage here in the U.S., with the possibility of loosening import restrictions. Ireland, the Netherlands, and Chile are now identified as potential sources for more formula.
We're going to work with manufacturers. We're going to import more to expedite this as quickly as possible.
President Biden Thursday said he spoke with manufacturers and the CEOs of Target and Walmart about ways to boost supplies. The out-of-stock rate for baby formula in the U.S. was more than 40% at the beginning of the month.
My sister picked me up some in Arvada yesterday, my dad up in Thornton the other day.
Ashley Lane in Colorado is one of the many moms struggling to find the formula her infant son needs.
There was nothing left on the entire shelf. I took a picture and sent it home, and I was like, thank goodness we have a couple cans left.
When asked why the administration has not acted sooner, the White House said efforts had been underway for months.
The steps the president took today are an acknowledgement and a recognition that more needs to be done, that we do not want parents, mothers, families out there to be stressed and worried about feeding their babies.
This is not a third world country. This should never happen in the United States of America.
The outcry is providing Republicans with another line of attacks against the Biden administration. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor yesterday read letters from worried parents.
We've been struggling to get formula for our granddaughter for months now. The situation has turned dire.
And now Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling the Biden administration reckless for providing migrants at the border with baby formula. A Texas congresswoman tweeted this image of a shelf full of formula. She says the photo was taken at a processing center in McAllen, Texas. A representative from the Hope Border Institute responded saying, quote, "These children, all children, deserve access to full life, including food, shelter, and love."
The shortage is blamed in part on a recall back in February. The affected plant in Michigan should come back online soon, but it could take up to 10 weeks for supplies to be restocked.
That from ABC. So we gave you a variety of different ways that the networks covered this story. At the end of that one, however, this is where, to me, it becomes an easier talk radio topic. You mean to tell me right now that we've stockpiled along the Texas border? We have, I don't know how much. We have baby formula desperately needed for American mothers and their children. But we have, what, pallets? We have full shelves of this type of product. And we're not going to touch it because that's for the people who have come over illegally and they need it for their babies. Once again, look at who's in charge. With all due respect, we've got to take a break. We'll get one phone call in and then we'll take our traffic and weather update. This text came in. Don't stone the messenger. I'm just going to read what it says. Quote, baby food shortage? No, Mr. and Mrs. Texter. It's not a baby food shortage. It's a baby formula shortage. Back to the text. Babies typically have it lactating mother. I'm just reading the way it says. I would say it probably means babies typically have a lactating mother. I don't see what the problem is. It's also 100 times more beneficial to the baby. If that's not an option, goat milk with a little molasses works just fine. The protein in cow milk is way too large and complicated for a baby to break down. Goat milk is very similar to humans. Close quote. Go! I did respond. Still haven't got an answer yet. And I quote my response. With respect, are you a man or a woman? Mr. and Mrs. Texter, I greatly appreciate you finding us and listening, and you text, and I'm not sure if you've texted before. I appreciate that, and I'm not trying to kick you in the nuts when I ask for people's comments. But maybe with this issue, just call me crazy. It's my opinion. I don't think this is one of those issues where you, on the outside, you clearly aren't a lactating mother currently. I don't think right now you've taken the goat milk molasses recipe and, say, earlier today, fed a baby with your concoction. Can we sometimes have issues where it's not the fault of people? Like, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to kick you when you text, and I appreciate you listening. But can't this be one of those issues where maybe, just maybe, you, me, the guy driving next to you, you really don't have a say in, or you maybe shouldn't even give an opinion as to if a mother has spoken with her pediatrician and doctor, etc., and they've decided maybe mom can't lactate. Maybe she cannot nurse on her own. Maybe the doctor has said formula is your best option. There are just still some issues in this great world of ours that just really aren't anybody's business. but in this case, mom and the baby. Call me crazy. But sending a text, I don't see what the big problem is. Well, I mean, again, and it's made all the worse, by the way, if that text came from a man. Ladies out there, would you agree with me? I'm trying to have your back. And in the meantime, the president's trying to, we're going to help you all the way. Right. We got to take a break. But look at this. We've talked about this, brother, earlier in the week. My friend Jeff from Alaska, beautiful Alaska, joins us. My man, how's the weather?
It's overcast today. No sunshine, but it's nice. It's
Yeah?
about 60 degrees.
All right, tell us where you are. I mean, we're having a little problem, so it does sound like you're in Alaska and far, far away.
Far southeast Alaska, Prince of Wales Island.
And what do you see outside your window?
Trees and the ocean. It's nice.
Why did you go to Alaska, by the way? Tell us.
I travel a lot. Coming home to the state that I used to love, it sucked the life out of me. Colorado, I lost my heart down there. Got an offer to buy a place up here and jumped on it.
Any regrets so far?
None. I got broken into one time. They left blueberry dessert and crabs in the sink.
Oh, a little animal break-in?
Yep. I'm never locking my doors again.
Oh my goodness. Now listen, because we have kind of a bad connection and I understand why, did you want to weigh in on what we were talking about, or did you just want to say hi?
Well, your texter, I don't necessarily disagree with them. We've taxed our system. If it were just the instances where it was in the child's best interest for the mother to use formula, but everybody uses formula now. And what's going to happen when all the other genders other than women start using formula?
Oh boy.
Everybody can have a baby now.
Well, not in Alaska, I hear.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah. Have you seen grizzly bears, by the way? Sorry, I'm still fascinated that you live now where you live.
No, I don't have any grizzly on the island. Lots of black bears.
Oh, did they literally, I would assume you had your door shut. The bears came in anyway?
No, the bears don't come in the house. They just rummage through your trash if you leave it out.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like literally, you open up your bedroom door and there is a black bear in your kitchen.
No.
Okay. Good.
No.
All right. Listen, hang in there, stay warm. Or I don't know, presume stay warm, but you text or call anytime, brother, and please be safe.
Absolutely. Love listening to you, man.
Thank you,
Take
brother.
care.
All right. You too. Good man right there. A patriot. We're late anyway. Text response. Got to get to it. When I said with respect, are you a man or a woman? Mr. Texter writes, a man who also fed his children expressed breast milk to help out his wife. It's a challenge for the woman, no doubt, but they are your children, and that's the only way to guarantee the proper nutrition and bonus. T cells and moms help for their immune system. This is not a debate on whether or not you should give your children formula or feed your children from mother's milk. That is, how did this there is a shortage of formula. That's the topic. This is not, is mom's milk best? I personally would say, though I'm not a pediatrician, nor am I a woman, I would assume and believe absolutely mother's milk is best. Matt, we're taking our first break, proving that nothing on talk radio is at least potentially without controversy. Stay with us. When we come back, final 30 minutes of this hour, coming up in that amount of time, we will give you an audio trip back to the stories that we discussed and you reacted to earlier this week. Stay with us. I'm Steffan Tubbs, 710 KNUS.
Busy out there already. Slow traffic south of town, southbound I-25 from Plum Creek to Larkspur exit. Staying slow both sides I-25 between University and Santa Fe. Northbound I-25 slowing into the downtown all the way to I-70. A crash in Golden, southbound Highway 93 at Iowa. A little slow through there. And then heavy in Aurora, both sides I-225 between Colfax and I-70. The southern end sluggish from the spillway down to I-25. I'm Davita with traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rocket Mortgage. Whether you're buying your first home or your forever home, you want a mortgage lender who can help you plan with certainty. For home loans that work for you, Rocket can.
Why Boot Barn for your business? Because nothing is more important than your workers' safety and your peace of mind. With a commercial account at Boot Barn, you get a customized program specific to your business. The largest assortment of work boots and workwear for every industry. The convenience of having a one-source nationwide supplier and nationwide customization. You need safety and compliance. We have your back. Commercial accounts at Boot Barn Work.
It's springtime in the Rockies. Come and explore beautiful Carbon County, Wyoming. There's no better time of year to enjoy the natural mineral hot springs in Saratoga. Soak your bones in the healing waters of the Hobo Hot Pool. Free to the public and open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For information and directions, visit WyomingCarbonCounty.com or call 324-3020. Carbon County, Wyoming. Get your West on.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up on that ladder? You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm trying to unclog these gutters.
That's smart. I had water damage from my gutters last year. It cost me $10,000.
Wait, $10,000?
Yeah, and from over here, it looks like water's been pouring over your clogged gutters, and it's probably doing real damage to your foundation. You need to do what I did. Get off the ladder and call Leaf Filter.
Yeah, but I need to get these gutters flowing now.
That's why you need to call Leaf Filter. They'll clean and realign your gutters and install their exclusive micro mesh screen system so nothing gets in your gutters except water.
So Leaf Filter protects my house from damage and means no more gutter cleaning for me?
Bingo! Plus, Leaf Filter has an industry-leading lifetime warranty, so your gutters are covered for life.
Thanks, Frank. I'm calling Leaf Filter today.
Don't go another day with your home unprotected. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com right now for an extra 15% savings. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com. That's 1-844-300-LEAF.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For a free quote, call 800-523-3771. That's 800-523-3771. 800-523-3771. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Have you ever played the game Would You Rather with your kids? Would you rather be a donkey or an elephant? That was an easy one. Here's another easy one. Would you rather overpay for cell phone service every month to a company with leftist values or pay about half that with Pure Talk and support a company that cares about your values? It's time to ditch Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Pure Talk has the same 5G coverage as any of those big guys, but saves the average family over $800 a year. I made the switch, so should you. You can keep your number, keep your phone, or get huge discounts on the latest iPhones and Androids. Unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigabytes of data is just $30 a month. Or get unlimited data and still save a fortune. From your cell phone, dial pound 250, say Dennis Prager, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. You can literally be switched over to Pure Talk service in less than 10 minutes. Dial pound 250 and say Dennis Prager.
Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price of participation may vary.
A new study out of the University of Michigan says consumer sentiment is falling. We'll tell you why in the next up.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
This baby food shortage is not, unless you really want it to be, a debate on whether or not women should feed baby formula to their children. The story is there is a shortage, and I think a kind of a interesting sidebar would be, is the United States government during do you ever remember a baby food shortage, baby formula shortage in this country? I don't in my life. But the sidebar to it is, isn't it interesting? Apparently, we've got a stockpile down at the United States-Mexico border where we've got formula, but it's meant for illegals and their mothers who, for whatever reason, choose formula over breastfeeding. Now, that is a talk radio topic. I understand if I had presented it as what's better. Mr. or Mrs. Listener, what's better, mother's milk or formula? But again, it can be anything you want. I'm in a giving mood this Friday. But there is a baby formula shortage. It was a recall, and they're saying it could be 2 months. You heard, if you were with us in our opening segment, played you several of the national news stories on this, and I think it's actually slightly a sign that, well, people are still kind and generous. The couple of stories of, well, I came to my local grocery store. There were 2 big boxes of formula, and I thought about taking 2, but I thought about somebody else really needing it, so I only took 1. At least there's that. Let's get into it. 303-696-1971. Janine joins us from North Glen. Good afternoon to you, and thanks.
Hi, I love that Biden giggle. It's cracking me up.
Oh, this one. Yeah, that's just for you. He does this whether there's a baby formula shortage or whether he is having dinner with Jill or whether he's talking about the war in Ukraine. Yeah, so that and it was for you.
Thank you. I've been cracking up every time I hear it.
You're welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, I was looking it up, and I guess they've had baby formula since the 1800s. But there's a recipe going around, and I remember this as a little girl, and it's not the goat milk. It's actually you mix evaporated milk with distilled water and 2 level tablespoons of Karo syrup, and that's been used since the 30s and 40s. So there's probably been times, where, during the Depression and I remember my mother having evaporated milk in the house. We lived in England on an Air Force base.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember my grandmother. My grandmother used to have, I remember as a really little boy, maybe 5 or 6, I went, I don't know, I was looking for cereal or something. And I remember being fascinated. I was a weird kid, but I remember being fascinated because I go into Granny's pantry and I pull out this like half empty box of it's like, wait a minute, I was looking for cereal and it was like a box of evaporated milk. And I was fascinated by it. I'm like, wait, you add water to this and then it's milk? Later I would come to find that it ain't milk.
Oh, what was it?
Well, I mean, it didn't taste like milk to me.
Oh, yeah, not
you just,
the same taste.
Yeah, add a little water.
And the carnation evaporated milk, it actually tastes pretty good. It's kind of sweet. And I know we mix it in our potato soup, and it makes it taste a lot better.
Well, what's the bigger deal to you, though? we've got as a first world country that we are stymied. There is a shortage. There are empty shelves where baby formula once stood. Is that a bigger issue because there's only apparently one big maker, or the fact that maybe the government has stockpiles for illegals, for crying out loud?
Well, I think that's wrong. And I also think, like, what's the problem? Why isn't this a quick fix?
Seems like there'd be more than one company that does this in the United States. Call me crazy, right?
Right. But if they found bacteria and they located it, as the report said, and they didn't think there was a problem, I don't understand why, if it's this serious of a problem, who's not fixing the problem at the plant?
Yeah, well, apparently they are. Listen, I got to get to another call, Janine. Have a great weekend. Always appreciate your phone call, and thank you. 303-696-1971. Michael in Englewood joins us. Thank you for the call. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, Steffan, I'm up in Bailey picking up my daughter who is 6. Mom used to feed her herself without baby formula, and she's very healthy. And secondly, it makes me aghast that we're storing all this from the border for people that are coming over the border.
Right.
In the 1800s, prospectors were going through Canada to get to Alaska. The Canadian government required that those prospectors had enough supplies on their own to make it through this country. Why are we providing food for these people that are just coming to our country?
Oh,
and then
brother.
lastly,
Yeah.
I heard a report saying that there were 2 possible deaths of children off of this
Correct.
baby formula from a factory. Well, guess what? There are thousands of known deaths from a vaccine that they keep pushing. Let that sink in.
Yep, there you go. Michael, have a great weekend. Drive safely in beautiful Bailey, Colorado. Whew. All right, here's what we're going to do. Matt, we'll take our break. And when we come back on the other side, we'll pick this up next hour. We will talk with, at 4:30, just a little less than an hour from now, we'll talk with the Rocky Mountain Children's Health. We'll talk with a member of that organization about the baby formula shortage as we focus here, obviously, in Colorado. And then we'll also talk in the 5 o'clock hour with a group known as We Cycle. Again, if you want to change this intention of your humble host here, and you'd rather tout the benefits of mother's milk over formula, friends, it's Friday. I'm in a giving mood. Go ahead and take the show when you call in. Take it that direction. But that is not the focus for me personally. It is a couple of things. As stated, how are we, as the greatest country on earth, facing a baby formula shortage and empty shelves when one company has a recall? One. And then secondly, if true, and those pictures from a Texas congresswoman are true, we have stockpiles of baby formula right now along the border, but we can't touch them because they're designated for mothers coming up illegally? That just does not make sense, nor is it right. We have taken our final phone call of this hour because on the other side of this break, a review, and I hope you enjoyed as much as we enjoy bringing it to you, a review of the Sound of the Week, and we'll have that coming up next. Stay with us, 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
Consumer sentiment is falling due to high inflation. The University of Michigan's early reading for May fell more than 9% from last month. The survey noted a broad decline in consumer expectations across all income and age groups. High prices for durable goods have fewer Americans planning to buy big-ticket items in the coming months. House Democrats are turning up the heat in the national debate over abortion. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, quote, hands off women's reproductive health care. She condemned the recent leak of a draft Supreme Court opinion, signaling an end to Roe versus Wade. California's Barbara Lee said women's constitutional rights are under attack. Colorado is already poised to refund an historically high amount of tax revenue collected in this fiscal year, but now officials project the number will be even higher. The official figure won't be out until the 2021-22 fiscal year concludes at the end of June, but the Department of Revenue is almost certain the number will come in above the March projection. That means that taxpayers can expect more refunded money, potentially above $500 per person. This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT, plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price and participation may vary. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Friday night commute already underway, heavy south of town, southbound I-25 Plum Creek to Larkspur. You move for a little bit and then slow down again until you get past Greenland Road. Back in town, I-25 northbound looks good through the Tech Center. Heavy University up to I-70. Southbound heavy Santa Fe down to University. Crashing Golden southbound Highway 93 at Iowa. And heavy coming from the airport on Pena from Tower to 56 and then moving again after that. I'm Davita with your traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
Sunny to partly sunny skies and fair weather conditions will take us through today. We're looking at daytime high temperatures into the 70s, lows tonight 40s, and we're going to be 70s to around 80 or so for the weekend. West to southwest winds up to 30 miles per hour today. Not quite as windy, but still a breeze for the weekend. Likely dry through Sunday, some thunderstorms early next week. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on Day 710 KNUS.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy customer.
Patriot Software Accounting is amazing. I was able to see where's all my expenses going, where's the revenue, which month had more revenue. I definitely recommend it to you guys who are a small business and need to record your expenses. And they just make it so easy. I was like, wow, affordable and easy to use. I have recommended it to colleagues.
Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
I'm about to compare a pepper shaker to a cash out refinance. Hang with me. You know when you're at a restaurant and they ask, would you like some fresh ground pepper? And then they crank that giant tube, but almost nothing comes out? For me, only a certain amount of time is socially acceptable to wait. I know that getting that pepper out might make my life better, but it just seems too impossible. And that's what we hear people say about the cash out refinance. People realize that the value of their home has gone up like hot pepper the last few years, leaving all this extra money sitting inside their home. But is it too hard to get out? It's Ryan from United Faith Mortgage. If you're interested in cashing out the extra pepper in your home, we're good at doing all the work while you just sit back and relax. And often, your mortgage payment and years in the loan will stay the same. If you'd like to hear about your options,
we are United Faith Mortgage.
United Faith Mortgage is a DBA of United Mortgage Corp. 25 Melville Park Road, Melville, New York. Licensed mortgage banker. For all licensing information, go to NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Corporate NMLS number 1330. Equal housing lender. Licensed in Alaska, Hawaii, Georgia, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Utah.
This is George Brockler for Littleton Jewelry. I don't know about you, but a local jeweler I can trust is a little thing that's actually a big thing. Whether it's a watch repair, diamond upgrade, or something else, anything else, we're usually talking about a piece of jewelry that has as much sentimental value as it does monetary value. Littleton Jewelry are my team. I trust for everything from repairs to major purchases. Jesse and his team will take great care of you. Littleton Jewelry is located on Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com.
News Talk 710, KNUS. Listen live on Auto. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Coming up at 4:30 again, the Rocky Mountain Children's Health Foundation will join us. And then just a little more than an hour from now in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll talk with the folks here locally at WeCycle and see how they are handling what is a very heavily publicized and sounds like a very serious shortage of baby formula. And if I can man to man, not excluding our great women. Where would we be without you? But men, unless you've given birth, some would say that's possible in 2022. I'd suggest you take a hard pass on this issue. Okay? Just that is yet another friendly bit of advice from your humble host to our male audience, and consider it a gift on a Friday afternoon. Absolutely cost you nothing. Free. So on this baby formula issue and shortage, I would just recommend to my male counterparts out there, just why don't you just not weigh in unless you've given birth? If you want to turn this into a mother's milk is always best, or God forbid, I love our texters. If in your mind you're close to either calling or sending an email or posting somewhere on social media that quote, you don't see what the big deal is, close quote, just maybe take a time out. And while you're at it, don't wear jean shorts, don't comb over your hair if you're going bald, and do not wear socks with sandals. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. I do understand, Matthew, that we are in the process of having a special open for our sound of the week, but in the meantime, we've got this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for what we like to call the look back at the stories that made this week, some of the stories we discussed and you reacted to. Let's begin.
Joker again from downtown. Got it!
We went to go knock on the governor's door, and it was locked. No kidding. And Representative Tipper and I were like, well, what do we do? And Representative Neville says, well, I got his number. I can call him.
We will not go back. 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 We will not go back.
The Kentucky Derby. And summer is tomorrow, had a great start and goes immediately to the early lead. Messier is away running with speed. Crown Pride to the outside. Epicenter is going to be taken back a bit, down toward the inside as Tapa goes up outside of Chargent. And farther out and close to the pace is Cyberknife. Then
Strike has done it in a stunning, unbelievable upset.
Forget Rich Strike, Lightning Strike. That's one of the biggest upsets in the history of the Kentucky Derby. Friday morning at 8 a.m.
President Biden opened a global COVID-19 summit this morning with the grim news.
Today, we mark a tragic milestone here in the United States. 1 million COVID deaths.
At the end of the day, the effect will be the same. Law enforcement will need to substantiate through the investigation that the person knew they had fentanyl, or else the charge is just simply going to become a misdemeanor. You are back to the way that this bill came to us originally.
Why have we not been able to get together as a nation to resolve our serious energy problem? It's clear that the true problems of our nation are much deeper than gasoline lines or energy shortages, deeper even than inflation or recession. So I want to speak to you first tonight about a subject even more serious than energy or inflation. I want to talk to you right now about a fundamental threat to American democracy.
22 DAs, right? And there are different views. But I managed to get on the phone with 3 that I knew had different positions on this bill. Showed them the language and asked them the question.
The company claims to be committed to inclusion and diversity, but it still discriminates against those who can't have dairy. Send the vegan upcharge now. Save the planet, save the cow. Send the vegan upcharge now. Save the planet, save the cow.
That'll do.
Ram you to your breed, your lead, your land be true. Sheep be true. Ram
Whereas in Wisconsin, police say a Molotov cocktail thrown into the headquarters of an anti-abortion group, vandalized with a warning, spray painted on a wall. If abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either. And conservative Supreme Court justices facing fury. Protesters outside the D.C. area homes of the court's Chief Justice.
It's the ultra MAGA agenda.
I'm Jim Krasul in High Point, North Carolina. It's a new record high for gas prices. The national average is now at $4.37 a gallon, according to AAA. Vic Bennett told me it's taking the fun out of life.
The gas prices are extremely inconvenient at the moment. I have not been able to afford a full tank of gas for
The debate over abortion rights in the United States is turning vicious. A Molotov cocktail was thrown at an anti-abortion group's office in Wisconsin, along with threatening graffiti scrawled across its walls. The debate sparked by a leaked document suggesting the Supreme Court
years ago, we searched near and far for hand sanitizer and wipes.
That's exactly what we're going through right now, trying to get formula for our babies, and it's terrifying.
So Jay Coleman started the Find My Formula Facebook group because she says it takes a village.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the President and the First Lady. They entrusted me in serving in this role for the last 15 months. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but during my first conversation with them, which was in November of 2020 after the election, I was very nervous when I went to see them in Delaware. And really what we talked about for the majority of our conversation was the importance of returning integrity, respect, and civility to the White House. The small sliver of my job here in engaging with all of you, that doesn't not
I'm standing outside the Supreme Court where a whole lot's been happening over the last week. As you probably know, a recently leaked draft opinion previewed the court is set to overturn Roe versus Wade, undoing nearly half a century of law and freedom. This is horrendous. A woman's healthcare decision should be between her and her doctor, nobody else.
Astronomers have released the first wild but fuzzy image of a supermassive black hole at the center of our own Milky Way galaxy. The image was made by...
We cannot do enough for our military and military families, in particular people that have lost somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it's just, yeah.
You're there every year. You're there every year.
Yeah, like you, I have a real passion. I'm actually one of my outside roles of rather than being.
What got me into the Navy is when I was a kid. My dad showed me this obscure movie that no one's ever heard of called Top Gun, and I saw that when I was a little guy, and I was immediately like, "That's what I want to do with my life."
Hello, this is the mayor of the pickleball. We're on 710 KNUS, Steffan Tubbs.
Thank you, Mayor of Pickleball. What a week.
That's all there is to it.
Whenever we do these look back audio trips with you, it's like, man, we talk about a lot of stuff on this program. And that's not even all of it. This was, though, arguably my favorite moment of the week.
Hello, this is the mayor of the pickleball.
I love it. An hour in studio. We'll talk more about peppermint patties. Goodbye.
And President Biden.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Friends, we still have 3 more hours together. The news is next. Stay right there.
Are you ready? Get ready. News Talk 710 KNUS presents the Colorado Republican Rumble. A day of debates featuring statewide Republican candidates for Secretary of State, Governor, U.S. Senate, Saturday, May 21st at the Grizzly Rose, starting at high noon, featuring News Talk 710's own George Brockler helping moderate the event. Watch it in person or stream it live. Complete details at 710knus.com. The Colorado Republican Rumble is presented by the Republican Women of Weld in partnership with the Adams County Republican Women and News Talk 710 KNUS.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. We've heard a lot from the left about disinformation in recent years, and no wonder. It's a term with Marxist origins. In fact, the original disinformation office was created by none other than Joseph Stalin. Indeed, it was Stalin who inspired George Orwell's Ministry of Truth. Now the Biden administration has assembled its own disinformation governance board. Nina Jankowicz has been tapped as the new board's leader. Jankowicz has disseminated false or misleading information about subjects including the Russiagate hoax, Hunter Biden's laptop, and masking during COVID. The Biden administration insists the new board's mission is to combat disinformation. But based on its leader's record, the office seems less prepared to defend against disinformation than to spread it, just like the Marxist prototype. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
The Pepperdine School of Public Policy, America's unique graduate program for leaders. Learn more at publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
I'm Dr. Drew Orton, host for The Doctors, and these are the doctor's orders. Most people will suffer from minor neck pain at some point in their life. A kink in the neck, stiffness in your shoulders can develop from simple, everyday wear and tear. Try using a cold pack to help reduce swelling and a heating pad to help loosen muscles and stiffness. Add a gentle massage after you apply the heat to help encourage blood flow. Avoid activities that may cause strain on your neck, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. Give your body a chance to heal. For more information, log on to thedoctorstv.com. I'm Dr. Drew Orton, and those are the doctor's orders.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more. libertymutual.com.
All your drywall projects are satisfaction guaranteed with the team at 123drywall.com. Drywall Finishing. They're the experts with decades of experience and satisfied customers. The quality work they do over a handyman can make a huge difference. From the small fixes to big projects like custom home finishings and remodels, this is the team to trust. Give Kelly a call. Set up your free estimate. 303-988-1709. That's 303-988-1709 or 123drywall.com and tell them Steffan sent you.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
A few crashes to warn you about. One westbound C470 before I-70 just starting to back up. A crash eastbound I-70 at Central Park Boulevard, backing traffic to Monaco. I-25 northbound good through the Tech Center, then heavy University up to I-70. Southbound I-25, a crash at Spear quickly moved aside. It's still slow through there. I'm Davita with traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price of participation may vary.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 77 degrees in Denver. We're going down to a low in the mid-50s this evening. We'll have the 710 5-day forecast coming up. The Denver District Attorney's Office is declining to press charges against the parents of a 3-year-old boy who died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The boy was wounded on April 17th and died at the hospital 5 days later. Both parents were initially charged with child abuse, but the DA's office declined to prosecute, saying they had no confidence they could convince a jury to convict either parent. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit. The U.S. Postal Service will hold the Stamp Out Hunger food drive tomorrow. This is the 30th year in a row that postal workers have collected food donations that go to local churches, food banks, and food pantries. They need non-perishable foods. Place the donation in a bag and leave it by your mailbox for pickup on Saturday. A House panel is investigating the nationwide baby formula shortage. The Oversight Committee is pressing manufacturers on steps they're taking to address the issue. They requested documents about the shortage from heads of 4 formula companies who control almost 90% of the market, according to lawmakers. At the closing bell today, the Dow closed the week at 466 points up. The S&P added 93 points, and the NASDAQ rose 434 points to close the week. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Truly, what is it called trichodexophobia or trixodexophobia? I learned that in the Peanuts thing. Do you have a fear of Friday the 13th? No, seriously. I did as a child because I don't know. I was told that really bad things will happen tomorrow. I don't care anymore. Anyway, friends, it is Friday, May 13th. Steffan Tubbs, Matt Steinkruger, our producer, Richard's in the newsroom. Second hour of the program, and we'll start off with a tip just in case you are just tuning in and you just in case are a male. There is currently a baby formula shortage in the United States of America. You may or may not know that. Just do yourself a favor. I'm trying to do you a solid. Men, unless you've given birth, I don't know how much you should really be unless you really want to. Weigh in on this topic. Like telling women out there that may be listening, if I say, read a text that you send or an email or on social media, I would just say that maybe just take a hard pass on this one. Like a man coming on the air. For example, it hasn't happened, but a man saying, I don't know what the big deal is. Why don't these women just make a concoction of, well, let's say goat milk? I'm just trying to give you a pro tip. We're not debating, by the way, unless you really want to, whether it is, well, you got two choices. Will it be mother's milk readily available? We have to assume that. Readily available mother's milk, or here, open this can. You can have that debate. I will just kind of sit back and watch. I'll be the referee in this one. Go ahead. And for any men out there that you feel like I have challenged your manhood by saying what you may not want to say, if you want to come on and say it and tell all of the women listening to this program that I don't know what the big deal is, why don't you just take goat milk and some molasses, mix it up, and give it to your crying kid? If that's the way you want to do it, okay. There is a baby formula shortage. I think personally the issue is not, is mother's milk better than formula? It is, how are we as the United States of America, how are we in a baby formula shortage? You mean to tell me that of all the formula out there, that there really is only one primary company that does this? I'm telling you, if I had a few extra hundreds of millions of dollars, I might want to get in on that market. I mean, I've got to say it's probably a billions of dollar industry, but there's one company, and that's what happens when that company goes offline. Granted, they had this recall because sadly they feel that maybe there's a connection with two babies that were killed by a bacteria problem. That's sad. So there's that. And then to me, instead of the debate of is mother's milk better or, feeling like you've got to educate your fellow listeners as to why it's better than formula. What's the big deal? I think the bigger issue is one of the controversies, and this is not me just trying to gin up something. You may have heard this already, that there may be a government stockpile of baby formula right now while there is a baby formula shortage in our country. The stockpile is down at the border. And it's been set aside for mothers of illegals who need to feed their children. Now, I may be going out on a limb on a feel-good Friday afternoon, but I'm going to say it because I always tell you the truth. As an example, and boy, I'll probably get into some hot breast milk or formula milk with this statement. When it comes to you have to make the ultimate choice. The baby of an illegal alien's, the mother who is illegal, she didn't have the kid here, mind you. She brought baby in tow. Or you've got someone who was born and raised in Denver, Colorado with a baby, and she needs formula, and the illegal needs formula. Some of you may think you know where I'm going with this. I will give the formula to the mother of, call me crazy, the mother of the Denver, Colorado baby. The illegal person who just happens to be in custody, she can try the goat milk molasses mixture on her child. I hope that child lives an incredible life. I hope that child someday does what he or she doesn't have as far as a role model, a parent that tried to get into the country illegally. I hope that little baby, male or female, tries later on in his or her life to enter the United States legally, and I hope that they are billionaires. But the fact that if there's really something there, that we now have a stockpile of baby formula, but we're not going to touch it because the Department of Homeland Security has designated that for parents who are in essence in custody of the feds right now, only because they came across illegally. This to me is a bigger issue. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm going to give whatever should be given to someone here, and they are American. And I realize that may sound cold and callous. Note, I did not say have the baby of the illegal go ahead and starve. No, just why don't you give them the molasses and goat milk and tell me how good it is? At least they'll have something. But going back to specifically to you men, unless you are, I don't know, maybe a pediatrician and you're gonna tell us and set us straight, which I'm not kidding if you can do it, but I don't think this is an issue where most men should weigh in and go, I don't see what the big deal is. Y'all do realize, I don't need to tell you about the birds and the bees, hopefully, but you do realize that there are physically some women out there that cannot breastfeed. Body just ain't cooperating. There are also things called, I know this from just doing baby stories, being a father, and there's all kinds of issues. Does the baby latch on to the nipple? Can the baby do this or that? Can the mother do this or that? But yes, there is a baby formula shortage. We will talk about that coming up at the bottom of the hour with the Rocky Mountain Children's Health Foundation. This from CBS News.
It was 2 years ago we searched near and far for hand sanitizer and wipes.
That's exactly what we're going through right now, trying to get formula for our babies, and it's terrifying.
So Jay Coleman started the Find My Formula Facebook group because she says it takes a village.
I'm meeting mothers who have babies that are on formulas that are prescribed to them. They can't find it anywhere.
And she says to those people hoarding formula and reselling it at crazy high prices,
I think it is disgusting disgusting that people are scamming families that are just trying to meet a basic need for their babies.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
If you would have told me a week ago today or 2 weeks ago, you're going to be talking about a shortage of baby formula in the United States of America, I would not have believed you. I would not have believed you. I love one of our texts. Mr. and Mrs. Texter wrote in, well, if Trump were in office right now as we speak, and there was this baby formula shortage, Donald Trump would have launched an Operation Warp Speed for baby formula. Instead, we have who we have. There are multiple ways to get in touch with us. Hello to our friends watching via YouTube. Thank you. That camera's not too close, is it? Like, if I had any nose hairs or anything, you're not going to like be able to identify them, Matt? Okay. Live simulcast on the 710 KNUS YouTube channel. Thank you for those of you tuning in that way. We've got a new camera angle today. Oh, wait on that. What is it called? Friday the 13th? Frigatriskaidekaphobia. Frigga?
That's what it says.
Oh, I believe you. Mr. Google says that. I mean, we got to believe it. Fear of Friday the 13th. Have you ever had fear of Friday the 13th, like when you were younger?
I have not. No.
I mean,
it's just any other day.
Right. Or you're just, and not that necessarily you are, Matthew, but I mean, for some people, the way the world is, I mean, right now you could be afraid of every day. 303-696-1971 is our number. 303-696-1971. A gentle baby reminder. We do have a once a week rule to call the program. And for those of you that want to call in once a day, God love you. But we have a once a week call rule. And I did not institute that rule. It was in place. And so thank you. Let's see. Mention the phone number 303-696-1971. Thank you to the text messages coming in. As I gave the couple of times since we've been on the air, the just friendly, just some advice to my fellow man, like literally fellow male. You may, unless you've given birth, you may just want to sit this one out. Let me see this. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Texter. Says you are hilarious with a laughing, crying emoji. Smart move, Steffan. And then emojis. What I see is baby bottles and a picture of a man. Yeah, there are certain times where men, you could do yourself a whole lot of good and just keep the old fingers from texting and maybe no comments. Oh, well, we had hoped to talk with the Rocky Mountain Children's Health Foundation. I don't know if the shortage has made them come up with an emergency, telling us 15 minutes before. Thank you. I know you tried hard, Matt. They have just canceled. Well, live radio. What can you do? You can also listen, of course. Welcome to our potential live stream global audience listening to us from wherever you are. Welcome to you. And last hour, my friend Jeff called from Alaska. He's tuned in, gave us a phone call via that internet type phone thing. And always, no matter where you are, thank you and appreciate your time. The free to download app, you can send a text to the Wall of Love on this Friday. Always love to hear from you. And this will be kind of maybe a little more along the lines of kind of a laissez-faire Friday. Yesterday, I hope you enjoyed our extensive coverage. And thank you again to, in no particular order, State Representative Mike Lynch. We had the House Minority Leader Hugh McKean. And of course, our friend of the program, headed to Florida soon. I'll miss him because he has become a friend and he's a great human being. Chris Holbert, the now former state Senate minority leader, and taking his place will be Kevin Van Winkle. He'll go from the House to the Senate. We'll hope to get Kevin on in the coming days, weeks, months, whatever. And for now, those 120 days are over in the state legislature. And of course, they go back to being regular Joes and Janes like you and me. And I would be hard pressed. By the way, I bring this up. If you did not hear a lot of the talk yesterday, maybe you just had to skip a day or you just didn't hear it because of whatever. It's worth listening to the podcasts, and you can take the 2022 legislative session. And I think from a very big 30,000 foot view, this was about abortion and this was about fentanyl. And yes, both parties came in this past January with their agendas. And at the end of the day, what I don't like is that despite the fact that we addressed it, we talked about it with the lawmakers yesterday, there is a sense, especially with what the Democrats in this state do, there is a sense, isn't there, that, well, at least we did something. Now, to our friends, the district attorneys around, there are 22 district attorneys in the state of Colorado, to the sheriffs and the police chiefs and to those deputies and officers. I feel for you. I mean, this is what the Democrats would tell you. Well, we did compromise. Hell, we wanted 4 grams of fentanyl in someone's possession or less to be a misdemeanor. That could kill, as it's almost become cliche, that could kill 2,000 people and it'd be a misdemeanor. So from the left's point of view in this state, they could simply say what? Well, we compromised. Now it is a gram of fentanyl or more is a felony. But we're supposed to be out here, again, the Joe and Jane citizen of Colorado, and say, well, they did something. They sure at least did something. They addressed the fact that fentanyl is a bad problem in Colorado. I love what Representative Lynch said yesterday. I believe it was Representative Lynch who said, this isn't a drug. This is poison. But consider this. There will be a dog and pony show. You have seen it. You could close your eyes and you can picture, it doesn't matter that it's Polis, at a bill signing ceremony. There is said politician, there is said seat, politician is in said seat, there is a small desk, there are multiple pens, there's a little thing, kind of like a folder that is open, and the governor will sign this bill. More visuals. Behind the governor, there will be all of the bill's sponsors, maybe somebody in a white lab coat. I have no idea. There will be the Brittany Pedersons there, that she wants her, safe injection sites and all of that. They will do this and it'll be a dog and pony show. But think about this, and we will most certainly not forget when that day comes. Jared Polis will put his pen to paper, and with his signature, he will be signing legislation that still, when it comes down to it, will make it a misdemeanor if by chance you or your little Johnny has a gram of fentanyl. Don't worry, friends, that can only kill 500 people. Do you see how this kind of thing is just so ludicrous? So to the DAs and to the law enforcement officials elected and those men and women, boots on the ground, I feel for you, because once again, this state just does what I consider to be, at the end of the day, I know they worked many hours, there were many amendments, but at the end of the day, they had a watered down bill that was finally agreed upon. And even, no offense to, say, the Chris Holberts and those others on the Republican side, they had to concede because, you see, as you know, elections have consequences. The Republicans do not have the votes. So they can either cause a stir about it, or they just cast their no vote. And yeah, well, at least I guess we did something. And what does this, as we get to a traffic and news break, what does this, to me, I don't know if for you, it rings true with, again, this state just doing the bare minimum. With this fentanyl bill, good luck trying to prosecute. They did change some language because otherwise somebody was just going to go, oh, I didn't know that this was I thought this was a Tylenol. I didn't know it was fentanyl. I never heard of it. These are the peddlers. So they did change some language of the unknowingly possessing. But to me, this rings true with something we saw in the summer of hell 2020. Remember, well, at the end of, I guess, spring, because it was the 2020 legislative session where, by God, George Floyd caused a hell of a lot of trouble across the country. And so what does this state, in its infinite wisdom, do, led by Democrats? Well, this state decided to do the knee-jerk reaction. We talked about it back then. We've got to do something. We've got to do something. So what do? They passed Senate Bill 217, handcuffing law enforcement, putting men and women out there on the plank all alone to do their jobs. They can risk getting sued. They may risk losing their jobs because of what the state legislature did. So this fentanyl bill, this may not be quite a knee-jerk reaction as much as the George Floyd fiasco and what the state did because somebody had to do something. But this really isn't that much different. And to those of you in law enforcement and those of you who are involved in district attorney's offices, except if your name is Beth McCann, I wish you all the best of luck. And Richard just had that story once again in this city, the city of Denver and Decay, with the most inept, self-proclaimed progressive district attorney. She is pathetic. You, if you listen even infrequently, know how I feel about her. But here's another case. Yeah, no. You know, the last time we heard that language and the message coming out of the Denver District Attorney's Office was not trying to pursue charges against a guy named Matthew Doloff. We just don't think we could get a jury to. How about you try? We remember Lee Keltner. How about you try? Are you trying DA's office in Denver? Are you trying to get into the Hall of Fame and you need, stand by, being told you're following legal ethics? Got it. Someday on this program, and now that we're on YouTube, I'll look right into the camera. Someday, it's not going to be today, it won't be next week, but someday we're going to clear the lines. We are going to have it out. We'll think of it as a family discussion. And I will tell you in specific detail why I have such a disdain personally for Beth McCann and the shenanigans, to say the least, that go on within that Denver District Attorney's Office. I don't expect you to hold your breath. I don't expect you to care. But I will someday explain. And I think so much will make sense if you listen to this program, and I am honored that you do. We will take a break. When we come back, this would be a benefit for those on YouTube right now. You see this right here? This is a little York peppermint patty given to me by our Chief of Staff, Mark Crowley, today. I do have to admit, he gave me 3. This is the only one left. Did you get any of that? Yeah. I'm soon going to say goodbye to this peppermint patty, and she said goodbye today at the White House. So we'll talk about that. 303-696-1971. Oh, Mary, I didn't see Mary in Lakewood. We're late anyway. I'll get to Mary in just a second. If you have been dreaming of travel, but you have not wanted to travel, or you could not because of lockdowns, uncertainty, COVID, etc., get with my friends that I have trusted for more than 15 years for business travel, leisure travel, vacations. It's Highlands Ranch Travel. It is so important to me. If you've got a big vacation coming up, you can go on the internet for maybe smaller excursions, or maybe you've done those big ones before, all on the internet. Yes, you can do that. I like the old-fashioned service. I like to see a color brochure. Let me see where I could stay. I want to hear from the travel agent, the do's and don'ts, or if they've been there or if they haven't been there. At Highlands Ranch Travel, they've been around for a long time. Marcy and her team are terrific. They will build your dream vacation from the ground up. If you want excursions, they specialize in that. You truly can build a one-of-a-kind experience for you and your significant other, or you and the family, so you can bring those best memories back home. They book a broad portfolio of vacations from around the world, or to locations around the world for every kind of traveler. And at Highlands Ranch Travel, they're proud to say you can count on 24-hour assistance while you're on the road. Find them out online. You don't have to live in Douglas County or only Highlands Ranch. Of course, you can even do it by phone. Of course you can. But the website, check them out, hrtvl.com. That's hrtvl.com or 791, 303-791-2311, 791-2311. Book an appointment with your new friend, hopefully, and that would be your travel specialist. Be sure to tell them Steffan sent you. They'd love to meet you in person, hrtvl.com. Mary, I did not see that you were on hold, Mary in Lakewood, before the first break of the hour. Hello and good afternoon to you.
Hello. I'm calling because of a granddaughter who, as nature would have it, she cannot nurse her baby. And on top of it, her baby is highly allergic to practically every kind of formula there is. So families scouring around trying to get, because one can is just 2 days worth of formula. So a store will let you take 4 if they even have any. On top of it, family members are trying to find out-of-state ones, sent a box of 4 cans. The only thing was the box was empty when it arrived.
Wow.
The formula had been stolen out of it.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's just, particularly when a child can't just take any kind of formula, because there are some, a lot of them there.
Sure.
In fact, this baby has to take it till she's a year old, and they'll put her in a hospital.
Oh, boy.
To try to change her off of it.
What is your granddaughter doing now during this shortage then?
Well, she spent Mother's Day going from store to store to get formula, and her sister did, and twice I've been fortunate enough to find.
I think we're losing Mary. I'm so sorry. We're having technical problems with your phone line, but best of luck to your going on Mother's Day, going place to place to place looking for this. Thank you for the call, Mary. We've got to get to a break. We'll get more on the other side and more of your phone calls. 303-696-1971. Steffan Tubbs with you, 710 KNUS.
A few crashes slowing the ride still. One northbound I-225 at I-70 pushing traffic to 6th Avenue. Southbound I-225, that's moving better now, I-70 to Colfax, but slow Parker to I-25. Another crash, eastbound I-70 at Central Park Boulevard, backing up to Monaco. Northbound I-25, slow University up to I-70. Southbound I-25, sluggish through the downtown. Extra traffic tonight. The Rockies take on the Royals at 6:40. And I'm DeVito with a look at your traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price of participation may vary.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and just added Betsy DeVos, Matt Walsh, and Tulsi Gabbard. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
We'll see you at the summit.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up on that ladder? You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm trying to unclog these gutters.
That's smart. I had water damage from my gutters last year. It cost me $10,000.
Wait, $10,000?
Yeah, and from over here, it looks like water's been pouring over your clogged gutters, and it's probably doing real damage to your foundation. You need to do what I did. Get off the ladder and call Leaf Filter.
Yeah, but I need to get these gutters flowing now.
That's why you need to call Leaf Filter. They'll clean and realign your gutters and install their exclusive micro mesh screen system so nothing gets in your gutters except water.
So Leaf Filter protects my house from damage and means no more gutter cleaning for me?
Bingo! Plus, Leaf Filter has an industry-leading lifetime warranty, so your gutters are covered for life.
Thanks, Frank. I'm calling Leaf Filter today.
Don't go another day with your home unprotected. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com right now for an extra 15% savings. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com. That's 1-844-300-LEAF.
Ew, Dad, why are toenails so ugly and yellow?
Hey, it's James, and if you're like me and suffer from toenail fungus, please pay close attention. Let's face it,
Toe fungus is embarrassing. I was afraid to take my socks off and hid my yellow and crumbly toes from everybody. But nail fungus isn't just a cosmetic problem. It can also be dangerous. Even a small spot can spread and get worse. But no matter what I tried, it seemed like my fungus would never go away. Then I discovered Crystal Flush, the new FDA-registered at-home treatment. This unique two-step system flushes out fungus at its source and reverses damaged nails. Finally, me and thousands of others are free from fungus. And you can be too. Call now, and for a limited time, you can try Crystal Flush risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-764-9219. That's 800-764-9219. Eliminate your toe fungus once and for all, guaranteed. Call now, 800-764-9219. Or visit crystalflush.com.
This is Dan Kaplis. Ben Franklin said that well done is better than well said. That applies directly to personal injury law. Actions speak louder than words. Talk is cheap. Results matter. At our firm, we've achieved truly historic results, which we'd be proud to share with you. We're a serious firm for serious cases. We take righteous cases on a percentage fee basis. If you need our help with a serious injury or, God forbid, wrongful death case, please give me a call, 303-770-5551. Or hit dancaplislaw.com. That's dancaplislaw.com.
Hi, it's Steffan Tubbs to remind you that Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour, we get the latest on financial markets and how to protect your hard-earned money. Join my friend and advisor, David Fisher of Landmark Gold. You know, as markets continue to fluctuate, inflation hits our pockets, and government spending increases, David shares his wisdom as well as principles to navigate these times. Money Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour right here on 710 KNUS during the Steffan Tubbs Show, or catch hour one of the podcast. Learn more on David at landmarkgold.com.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Listen live on Odyssey. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Like cricket this year, Johnny? Nah. Welcome back. I've apparently thrown some people into a Facebook bit of confusion because I posted the picture of said York peppermint patty that Crowley gave me, and I said goodbye and good riddance. And many people are going, but I love those. We, like many people around the country, we came to know Jen Psaki as Peppermint Patty. Today, Friday the 13th, it was her final day, and boy, we all are gonna miss her.
And President Biden thank you. I want to say thank you to the president and the first lady. They entrusted me in serving in this role for the last 15 months. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but during my first conversation with them, which was in November of 2020 after the election, I was very nervous when I went to see them in Delaware. And really what we talked about for the majority of our conversation was the importance of returning integrity, respect, and civility to the White House. The small sliver of my job here in engaging with all of you, that doesn't not mean that we haven't let our Irish side show, mine and the president's as well, from time to time. I recognize that. But on my best days, and as I look back, I hope I followed the example of integrity and grace that they have set for all of us and do set for all of us every day. And I'm incredibly grateful to them.
I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid.
President Biden.
Farewell, Jen. May the grass be greener at MSNBC. You see how everything is enhanced by the sad piano music bed? Thank you, Matthew. And we again wish her luck.
President Biden.
Apparently, the president reacted by
And what am I doing here?
303-696-1971. Farewell, Jen. Let's get to Martin in Larkspur joins us. We were just talking about the Denver DA's office and yet another case they will not prosecute, et cetera, et cetera. Hello, Martin, and good afternoon to you.
Hey, good afternoon, Steffan. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for taking the call. I listen to you consistently,
Thank you.
and it just sparked the need to call in. My brother, my younger brother, is a small sole proprietor contractor, remodeling contractor, tile contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he went into a facility, I think it was May 19th, early in the morning to pay a granite bill that he had outstanding. And I guess there's a homeless encampment down there nearby. Anyway, a gal jumped in his truck and took his truck, wrecked it. They had multiple hit and runs. She picked up a friend somewhere, sold off tools that were in the truck, bought crack. They had, I think, 3 hit and runs. The final was at Pearl and Colfax. And they were apprehended with keys in hand. But there again, it just sparked for me the need to call and say, I don't understand. Beth McCann filed. They released both of them, male and female, 4 days later, and charged them with criminal trespass. So,
criminal trespass.
Right.
Though there was a vehicle that was stolen and they sold off tools.
Right. They sold off tools. The tools that were in his truck were sold off, and methamphetamine crack was purchased. They were high as a kite. They had 2. There was a hit and run out in, I think, in Lakewood, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
There was a second and then a third, I think a final one where they actually wrecked the vehicle, totaled the vehicle at Pearl and Colfax. And 4 days afterwards, I mean, my brother is out of a truck. He had not long prior to that paid it off. They sold off tools. He had a puppy that he purchased for his daughter. It was, I think, 2 months old in the cab with him.
Oh my goodness. What happened to the dog?
No idea. We put up a reward.
The dog is still missing?
The dog is gone. We put up posters. We've solicited to pay a reward just to get the puppy back for him and his daughter. Whether they threw the dog out the window, whether they sold the dog, traded the dog for drugs, I have no idea. But Channel 7 did post it for us, a couple different times. A young man by the name of Rob Harris did a great job with it.
Uh-huh.
But at the end of the day, my brother has no recourse. His truck he's gone out and purchased a dilapidated truck he's working on now just to try to keep clients going. But it's just so unfortunate.
What a prime example. Right. Martin, what a prime example of Denver in decay and the inept attitude and the idiocy that is the Denver District Attorney's Office. And so do you know what happened with the 2 alleged criminals?
I have no idea. They were released 4 days later. I know that criminal trespass charges were filed against them. My brother has no recourse. And at the end of the day, we've had conversations about it. Even if he were to pursue and win some type of judgment,
good luck.
Collecting the judgment
Yeah,
is a
exactly.
different story, right?
Right. And when did
But
you
at the
say,
end of the
Martin?
day,
When was this? This was earlier this month?
I think it was May 19th. They jumped in the truck early in the morning and
Well, it's
stole
May.
it.
Well, I mean, so last year?
No, this year.
Okay, because it's only May 13th is why I'm asking.
Excuse me.
April?
I apologize.
That's okay.
It was April.
April
right?
19th.
I apologize.
So less than a month ago. Listen,
Yes.
I don't know if this would help, and I got to get to a break, but I don't know if this would help. My email is on our show's homepage, and if you want to put out, send me a picture of the dog and the reward information, a flyer. I'd be more than happy to post it for you for what that's worth.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
I
please
will do that.
I appreciate your call, and thank you very much for reaching out. It's yet another example. Here you go. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate it, and have a good weekend down in Larkspur. We've got to take a break. Lewis, on the other side, if you want to hold, we'll continue following the baby formula shortage. And on the other side of the news break with Richard, I had mentioned at the top, and we've had a lot of stuff to talk about. One of my favorite actors, and he's not on the level of Robert Redford and Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks. He's not one of those, but he was a damn good actor. He was also a United States Air Force veteran. Word today that he passed. We'll tell you about that. And just a reminder that in just about 2 hours, we will start our Friday Homestretch film review, film assignment and review. The assignment was Bottle Shock from 2008. I hope you watched with us this week, based on a true story about how Napa Valley came on the map when the wine does well in a French competition. Sponsored by Danny Cash, Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com. Hot sauce and barbecue sauces, horseradishes, soy sauce, gift ideas, hoodies, shirts, caps, steak seasonings. You're helping support Colorado's small business. Visit the Danny Cash Hot Sauce store in the River Point Shopping Center near Santa Fe and Hamden, or online, DannyCash.com, and a 25% military discount for active duty and our veterans. So about 640, clips, trivia, and more. Bottle Shock, our film starring, among others, the late, great Alan Rickman. We'll come back, tell you about the actor who passed, just got word today, and more on the baby formula shortage. Stay with us on 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
Russia says it will keep American basketball player Brittany Griner in detention despite U.S. claims that her incarceration is illegal. Russia's foreign ministry issued a statement saying that Griner was caught smuggling hash oil and faces up to 10 years in prison. Griner is a WNBA player for the Phoenix Mercury and plays for a Russian team during the off-season. She was arrested at a Moscow airport in February and accused of smuggling a narcotic substance. Western nations deepened their efforts to combat Russia's invasion of Ukraine as Sweden signaled that it might join NATO. The world's wealthiest democracy sought ways to circumvent a Russian blockade of Ukrainian wheat, and Britain imposed new sanctions on the Russian president's inner circle. The move that might sting President Vladimir Putin of Russia the most was Britain's imposition of sanctions on his former wife and a former gymnast long rumored to be his girlfriend. Denver Public Schools have placed North High School teacher Tim Hernandez on paid administrative leave after he marched with students who had organized a school walkout to protest the failure to renew the beloved Latino teacher's contract. The executive director of the Denver Classroom Teachers Association said she was present for the meeting at which Hernandez was placed on paid leave pending an investigation. DPS leadership told Hernandez the administrative leave was put in place because he left his classroom duties to march with his students. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A few crashes slowing the ride still. One northbound I-225 at I-70 pushing traffic to 6th Avenue. Southbound I-225, that's moving better now, I-70 to Colfax, but slow Parker to I-25. Another crash, eastbound I-70 at Central Park Boulevard, backing up to Monaco. Northbound I-25, slow University up to I-70. Southbound I-25, sluggish through the downtown. Extra traffic tonight. The Rockies take on the Royals at 6:40. And I'm DeVito with a look at your traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies. Overnight lows will be in the middle to upper 40s. West breezes easy. The weekend going to be pretty uneventful. Denver will see highs in the 70s to near 80 Saturday and Sunday. Nights will be in the 40s to near 50 degrees. Probably dry through the weekend, but we'll start to see some late-day thunderstorm activity early next week. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
Eye on the White House.
The Biden administration says it's taking steps to address the nationwide shortage of baby formula sparked by a contamination-related shutdown. The White House says the president has spoken with the CEOs of retailers and formula makers. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says in addition to considering the use of the Defense Production Act, the administration will work to ramp up imports of formula from other countries and also target price gouging.
This is work that's been underway for months.
But Psaki was unable to say how soon stocks of formula could be back to normal, and she defended the FDA's actions, which led to the shutdown of a key formula plant in Michigan.
There were babies who died from taking this formula, so they were doing their jobs.
Eye on the White House, I'm Stephen Portnoy, CBS News.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more. libertymutual.com.
Feels great getting back into the office and seeing the gang again. I feel like a dentist. I can see everyone's beautiful pearly whites again. Anywho, wow, who sent these duff rolls?
Let me look. The card says, love doing business with you all. Enjoy the fresh Duffy rolls. Bon appetit, Charlie.
We love that, Charlie. And we love Duffy rolls.
Duffy Rolls. It's a Colorado thing. Have some delivered to the folks you do business with. It'll make their day. DuffyRolls.com. For catering and delivery. DuffyRolls.com.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Okay. When are you going to start bottling yours? I mean, the goats.
Well, I'm not milking them anymore.
Okay,
but
good.
At one time, I had 4 girls that I was milking, and I had people knocking on the door to buy a gallon of milk.
I
goat
bet you.
milk.
I bet you did. How are my hens doing?
They're doing wonderful.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I just bought 6 more chicks
Oh,
for the rooster. So
how many does he have now? The
Well, with the
happiest rooster
6
in Colorado.
Yeah, well, one died off. She was kind of old, but he's down to 19. But with the new 6 one, he'd be up to 25.
They're only children, though. Thank you, friend. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Lewis. Always love hearing about Lewis. I love Lewis. He is just a fellow 921er. He's just an awesome one of our listeners. Really enjoy his texts and emails. Love meeting him in person. Appreciate him listening. He went out there. I've just tried to tell you guys, you may just want to not offer your advice, but it's true. I do understand this. Formula has not been around, like, say, in the 17th century. I realize we have, as a species, gotten through things, but anyhow. Bummer to hear about the actor who passed away. It was earlier this week, but the official word came out. The actor Fred Ward died. If you remember The Right Stuff, he was cast as Gus Grissom.
Where are you planning on putting a window? Window? There's no window. No window. What about the hatch? The hatch? Yeah, the hatch. We need a hatch with explosive bolts that we can open ourselves.
I think there is something you do not understand. This is the final form of the capsule. No hatch.
What would happen if the automatic controls went out?
Backups, checks, etc. This would not happen.
I said, what would happen if it did?
Pilot would have to fly it back.
This is the way it is.
You know, I wonder how the press don't feel about that.
Press. What does the press have to say about it?
What do they have to say about it? You boys know what makes this bird go up. Funding makes this bird go up.
That's right.
No bucks. No Buck Rogers.
And press over there.
I love that. That was Fred Ward. He died no cause, 79 years old. No bucks, no Buck Rogers. Some of you remember him, I'm sure, from, say, Escape from Alcatraz, Clint Eastwood's movie from 1979. How about Remo Williams? And then the film Tremors.
This valley is just one long smorgasbord.
We can make it!
That's how they get you. They're under the ground.
Them prairie dog burrow.
We arm ourselves.
We set perimeters.
Yeah, Fred Ward was great in that. He passed away. United States Air Force veteran, born in the Navy town of San Diego, 79 years old, died 5 days ago. The word came out today that he had passed. It may or may not be Tremors as our Friday Homestretch film review film assignment of the week for next week. We've got tonight, though, Bottle Shock. We'll talk about that. 6:40 for clips, trivia, and more. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, more kind of a more encompassing look at the baby formula shortage in the United States. Is there really a stockpile that's been set aside along the U.S.-Mexico border for illegal mothers that are now in detention? I mean, how much are we talking about? A couple of cans or a couple of million pallets? We'll talk about that. And Finland and Sweden, they may be close to becoming a part of Nato, and Russia doesn't like it. Tons more to come. 5 o'clock news is next.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here to remind you to be sure to log on 710knus.com and click on the Peter Boyles Book Club banner and watch this week's video podcast. And when you join the book club, you can see all of my video interviews, get early bird invitations, attend all live events, best-selling writers and authors, and register to win copies of our featured titles every month. And remember, it's free to sign up at 710knus.com and click the book club banner today.
The fastest way to know what your home would sell for today is from the Ribble Group.
Keller Williams DTC. Simply text your address to 800-763-3000. Don't call, just text your address to 800-763-3000.
Our workforce needs work. I'm Holly Robinson Peete. Join me, Delivering Jobs, and the Society for Human Resource Management in creating pathways to 1 million jobs for those with intellectual and developmental differences.
To learn more, please visit deliveringjobs.org.
Veggie Noodle Bowl. From the kitchen table in New York City, here's Rachel Ray with Rach on the Radio.
I took a 14-inch nonstick skillet, little bit of high-temperature cooking oil, cremini, white, any kind of mushroom you like. You want about a pound total. So I browned the mushrooms first. Then I took some broccolini, and now we're just going to wilt in dark greens. Let's build the sauce. So we have a little bit of that Korean fermented chili paste in the bottom. About 4 tablespoons for a pound of noodles is what we're going for. Where'd my tongs go? Right.
For this recipe and more food tips, go to RachelRayShow.com.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit LibertyMutual.com to learn more. LibertyMutual.com.
Fact, our bodies are under attack every day. Whether it's COVID, vaccines, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the food we eat, we are constantly trying to keep up with the Colorado weather, fighting off stress and inflammation. But there's a solution. C60 Complete. C60 Complete is a scientist-formulated, doctor-approved antioxidant supplement that helps you achieve a longer, healthier, and happier life. Do what I'm doing to improve my health and go to purebellavita.com. That's purebellavita.com to get your monthly supply today.
Hi, it's Steffan Tubbs to remind you that Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour, we get the latest on financial markets and how to protect your hard-earned money. Join my friend and advisor, David Fisher of Landmark Gold. You know, as markets continue to fluctuate, inflation hits our pockets, and government spending increases, David shares his wisdom as well as principles to navigate these times. Money Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour right here on 710 KNUS during the Steffan Tubbs Show, or catch hour 1 of the podcast. Learn more on David at landmarkgold.com.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Up north, on-ramp closed from 96th Avenue onto northbound E470. Emergency vehicles responding to a grass fire. Traffic moving better now past a crash. Northbound I-225 at I-70. Crash cleared eastbound I-70 at Central Park Boulevard. Traffic slowing now northbound I-25 through the Tech Center. I'm Davita.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their hiring platform lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all in one place. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 76 in the Denver area. We're going to go down to a low of the mid-50s this evening. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. President Biden says he talked with the leaders of Finland and Sweden as they may join NATO.
We had a good conversation, and they expressed their interest and desires relating to security. And there are more to report on that shortly.
He did not elaborate during a chat with reporters at the White House. Finland and Sweden are reportedly trying to join NATO after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened Finland with unspecified retaliation if it joins NATO. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com. Students at more than a dozen high schools in the Denver area protested an upcoming decision that could overturn the 1973 court case that made abortion legal nationwide. Students at schools in Denver, Jefferson County, and Aurora walked out of classes. Students said they know abortion is legally protected in Colorado, but they added they're against decisions that limit personal health choices. On Wall Street, at the closing bell, the Dow closed out the week with gained 466 points. The S&P added 93 points, and the NASDAQ rose 434 points. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10 only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Talk a lot about baby formula and shortages this hour. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we've got a guest from a group called We Cycle that's here in Colorado and in the greater metro area. We'll talk about that, and we'll get into why there is a baby formula shortage. If you were to have told me a week or two ago that one of the things we'll talk about on Friday the 13th of May, right off the top in our 5 o'clock hour, was a baby formula shortage in the United States of America, I probably would have said, yeah, I don't think so. But the issue, as we've kind of got into, and I'm not trying to say this is at any way you look at it funny, because it's not. I realize, and I hope I haven't come across, just got a text from someone that says, not all babies can nurse. Mr. and Mrs. Texter, I'm a parent. I understand that. So hopefully, I don't know if I have come across that way in our first 2 hours together. I hope that's not how I came across, because I know that. But to me, is it the issue of how about this? One company and a shutdown or a recall can put the country kind of behind the 8 ball. What are we going to do type thing? And then there is another angle of, wait a minute. According to, a member of Congress from Texas and Texas Governor Abbott, the U.S. government has a stockpile of said baby formula right now, and that has been pushed or set aside for mothers of illegals that are in mothers who have children. They are in the country illegally. I'm not quite sure if that is as big a deal as they say. I don't know, but we'll get into that. I want to give you, just before we get to our guest, this is just kind of in a nutshell, the story from earlier on ABC News. And of course, isn't there always a Colorado connection?
This morning, the FDA is looking at ways to import more baby formula to ease the worsening shortage here in the U.S., with the possibility of loosening import restrictions. Ireland, the Netherlands, and Chile are now identified as potential sources for more formula.
We're going to work with manufacturers. We're going to import more to expedite this as quickly as possible.
President Biden Thursday said he spoke with manufacturers and the CEOs of Target and Walmart about ways to boost supplies. The out-of-stock rate for baby formula in the U.S. was more than 40% at the beginning of the month.
My sister picked me up some in Arvada yesterday, my dad up in Thornton the other day.
Ashley Lane in Colorado is one of the many moms struggling to find the formula her infant son needs.
There was nothing left on the entire shelf. I took a picture and sent it home, and I was like, thank goodness we have a couple cans left.
When asked why the administration has not acted sooner, the White House said efforts had been underway for months.
The steps the president took today are an acknowledgement and a recognition that more needs to be done, that we do not want parents, mothers, families out there to be stressed and worried about feeding their babies.
This is not a third world country. This should never happen in the United States of America.
The outcry is providing Republicans with another line of attacks against the Biden administration. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor yesterday read letters from worried parents.
We've been struggling to get formula for our granddaughter for months now. The situation has turned dire.
And now Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling the Biden administration reckless for providing migrants at the border with baby formula. A Texas congresswoman tweeted this image of a shelf full of formula. She says the photo was taken at a processing center in McAllen, Texas. A representative from the Hope Border Institute responded saying, quote, "These children, all children, deserve access to full life, including food, shelter, and love." The shortage is blamed in part on a recall back in February. The affected plant in Michigan should come back online soon, but it could take up to 10 weeks for supplies to be restocked.
That from ABC News. Our partners at CBS News, their special report later on this hour. This is again happening as we speak. Their headline is President Biden says the infant formula shortage is a top priority. Let's get into that with our guest, kind enough to join us on a Friday evening. Lindsay Zabek, she is the development director for a group called WeCycle. I hope I've said not only your title right, but your name as well. Welcome to the show, and thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How big is this shortage from your perspective in what you all do?
Yeah, WeCycle provides essential baby gear. Formula is one of the items we provide to a network of partner organizations throughout the state, and then also at mobile markets where we serve families directly. And so WeCycle serves about 800 children a week, and a lot of them we serve with formula. And right now, we are seeing our shelves starting to empty. Up until now, we've been able to sustain. However, we just found out that we are unable to purchase Enfamil Yellow, which is one of the formulas we give out the most through our Amazon business account, which is where we've been purchasing it prior. And so without that, we're just becoming concerned as to how we're going to serve the families each week.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? I mean, I know this is all kind of developing and happening almost as we speak, but what do you do? A group like yours that is designed to help mothers out there that maybe can't breastfeed, or there are myriad other reasons why. When you're concerned, I mean, a group that's trying to help, when the entity is concerned, that should concern a lot of people. What are you going to do?
You know, that's a good question. We've been talking about it in staff meetings, trying to formulate some sort of a plan, and there's really not a good answer, which is horrible to say. We are hoping to just make an ask out to the community that if you have any formula samples that you may have been provided by formula companies, but you're choosing to breastfeed and don't need that, to donate it to WeCycle so we can get it out to the families in the community.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make sure people know how to get in touch with you. When did you all at WeCycle here in Colorado start to notice that those shelves were starting to empty and you can't place these orders? This, I know, has been talked about the last few days, but when did you all kind of officially notice?
Things started to shift when Similac had their recall. We noticed that's when stores started limiting the purchasing of formula. With grant funds, we would also purchase from Costco, and this was about 3 months ago. They started having a ration. And so it kind of felt like this potential shortage was coming down the pipeline then, and potentially stores or manufacturers knew to limit purchasing.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier in the program that I went to a grocery store in the South Metro area, and I don't go down anymore because my kids are older. I don't go down the diaper and the baby food and the formula aisle, but right at almost as I was pushing the cart by, I look over and sure enough, there are 3 empty shelves where there wasn't a can, there wasn't a box. And that's one grocery store in one part of a small, area of where we are. And then this is just, it's going, have you heard coast to coast?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a coast to coast issue. I just really hope that there's a way to get it resolved because it's terrifying. I'm a mom of 3, and I can't even imagine when they were drinking formula and not being able to provide that for them.
Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I do have to say, and I just want you to know, Lindsay, that I have tried to tell the men that may be listening to this program, sit this fight out. I've had a lot of men texting in, well, all they need to do is go buy some goat milk, mix it with molasses. And I tried to tell men, maybe just sit this one out. And unless you've given birth, don't try to put your 2 cents in. And of course, people will do whatever they want to do, and that's fine. We are a talk show, but are you able to tell any of these mothers, look, formula obviously hasn't been around forever. Here, maybe go old school. I don't know what maybe your grandmother did or your great-great-grandmother did. Are you trying to give them any alternatives? And if so, what are they?
You know what? Not at this point. I think that there's a little bit of research that would need to be done in order for WeCycle to promote using an alternative recipe for formula. I did, however, on that point, I took a photo of the recipe my grandmother used to feed my mom and her sisters and sent it to my team just as a conversation starter. Like, okay,
right,
this worked for a couple decades. Yeah.
And I'm assuming your mom and your aunt, they were just fine. Do you mind just even, you don't have to give me the exact, but just off the top of your head, what was the alternative recipe that your mom or your grandmother used?
It was evaporated milk and Caro syrup, and I think there was 1 or 2 other ingredients, but pretty basic.
Yeah.
However, I'm definitely not saying that all people should go out to start making it. I just found it interesting because I had remembered my grandma showing me that years ago, and so it just re-referenced it.
Wow. Again, we're talking with Lindsay Zabak. She is the development director with WeCycle. And you guys, as your website indicates, you're not a distributor. You're what you call a matchmaker, and you partner with a lot of different community groups as well. Do you guys rely on donations? For example, what you're seeing a shortage of, even with baby formula, is that baby formula there primarily? I know you mentioned Costco and that kind of thing, but is it primarily there because the good folks, they use you, and they give donations?
Yeah, that's correct. So we operate, being a nonprofit, fully through in-kind donations from the community and then also through grant funding. That's why we're able to purchase some of the formula that we need to just meet the demand. However, I'd say 40% of our formula is donated from the community, which is just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Have you, and I hope the answer is no, but have you been privy to conversations or somebody you've talked with, or maybe anecdotally, that, a young mom is starting to get concerned? Have you guys had to console some people?
We have. We've begun receiving calls from our donors asking if we have a particular kind of formula and whether or not they'd be able to just make a donation to WeCycle to get that formula, which obviously we can't do. It's not within our mission, but that just shows the level of despair that some of these families are feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the best way if somebody, I don't know, so you just never know who's listening, that maybe, their baby at the end of the day, they bought an entire case of something and maybe didn't like it or what have you. How can people get in touch with you guys and maybe help out?
Yeah, if you go to our website, wecycle.org, that's WEECYCLE.org, you'll see a drop-down menu of our donation locations, and you can just drop off the formula donations or any other baby item you'd like to donate, diapers, wipes, baby food, at any of those donation locations.
I've got to ask, just because I think at least somebody listening would say, will they take, maybe they recently had a baby in the family and now they've got all kinds of baby clothes, maybe gently used. Do you take stuff like that, or is it just brand new items?
We do. We take gently used items. However, all things outside of diapers, wipes, baby food, and formula need to be donated at WeCycle's warehouse.
Okay.
And that's located at 20 South Havana Street in Aurora, Unit 210. And we collect donations of gently used baby gear on Tuesdays from 9 to 11 and Thursdays from 12 to 2.
Okay, I'm assuming that all the info's on the website. Again, wecycle.org, WeeCycle.org. Listen, I want to keep in touch with you guys, and I sure appreciate your time. Hopefully not too long from now, we can have you back on and say, our shelves are full. We're back to running as normal. So maybe we can have you on hopefully sooner rather than later. And thank you so much for kind of giving us a little bit more information from the local perspective. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for shedding light on it. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Lindsay Zabak, the development director with WeCycle. Again, WeeCycle.org, wecycle.org. Yeah, I mean, she hits on something, doesn't she? I mean, when you've got groups like that are relying on grant money to go make purchases to then give to, say, some of the less fortunate people that need a certain thing that they know they can get from a group like this, or when they try to go to the store themselves and they just can't do it. Interesting. And by the way, I've never said that some suggestions that have come in since 3 p.m. take goat milk and mix it with molasses, or take goat's milk and mix it with some Caro syrup. I've never said that wouldn't work. I like how she gingerly and very politically correctly said, while my grandmother's recipe is this, we're not right now in a position to say, all right, moms, here's what you do. But there you go. I realize once again that we have lived in this country as people were heading west in covered wagons. They did not go to the trading post and get some Similac. I realize that, but it is certainly a story that is making headlines.
This morning, parents desperately searching for the vital food their babies need. With soaring inflation and ongoing supply chain delays, parents across the country are facing a crisis with no end in sight. The national out-of-stock average for popular baby formulas jumped to 40% last month. Many major retailers have put limits on how much baby formula you can buy at a time.
It's a bone-deep anxiety of, is my child going to get what they need?
The shortage comes after Abbott Nutrition, a key manufacturer, issued a massive voluntary recall in February, following 4 complaints of bacterial infection linked to baby formula that the CDC says may have contributed to the deaths of 2 infants. The recall shutting down the company's Michigan plant and impacting certain Similac, Alimentum, and L-Care formulas. After an investigation by the FDA and CDC, Abbott conceded that some of its processes were not followed and says it is set out to improve its systems and address the issues raised. The company now telling NBC News there is no evidence to link our formulas to these infant illnesses.
Even just trying to think of going a day with having to be completely off of his regular Abbott formula to something else is stressful.
Jordan Coleman's 9-year-old son Carter suffers from a metabolic disorder that requires a specialized formula that Abbott makes. Without it, the family says he could suffer brain damage, fall into a coma, or die.
He's asked me a couple of times if this means that he's going to die.
Now I know at least a couple of you, when you just heard that very last portion of the NBC News report, when you heard that her son was 9, you may have said, I know one of you did. Come on. The kid's 9. Look, again, you think she's just making all of this up? I'm sure she's consulted with physicians about her son's condition. Anyhow, thank you to WeCycle, wecycle.org. Best of luck. And We'll continue to follow this. And no, I can't blame this guy. But it sure is bad that a guy like this is in control when, well, one of our texters said Trump would have created an Operation Warp Speed for formula like he did for the vax. We can only hope. But the fact now that the president, on the day his press secretary resigns, or, she had planned this, Peppermint Patty's gone. And Joe now, well, at least he has an LGBTQ, a person of color plus new spokeswoman. Thank goodness for that. But yet again, I can't say, look, this could have happened during a Donald Trump administration. It could have happened during any administration. But I think it should kind of sound some alarm bells. How about you? One major manufacturer goes down because of a recall, and this happens coast to coast. I'd mentioned, I think last hour, if I had an extra, I don't know, $1 billion, maybe we get into the game of let's set up another baby formula company because our competition, there's only one. Call me crazy. But then the other side of it is, are we really, as the United States government, Department of Homeland Security, are we really hoarding right now baby formula for those crossing into this country illegally? Would it surprise you? We've got to take a time out. If you are just joining us, happy Friday to you. And hopefully by now it's become a habit by listening to us on Fridays. We love to do this, and we will, before the hour strikes 6, we will have a look back at some of the stories that we talked about. We played you great audio, and certainly you had the potential to react to. We will give you the sound of the week, and that comes up before 6 o'clock tonight. I'm passionate about our state's agricultural industry, and we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, and you know this. Ag is such an important part of Colorado's economy, features heavily in our state's history, and one huge thing in this state that we need, and God knows we need more, is water. And for yet another year, every county in the state is officially under some sort of designated drought. If conditions get worse, regions in the state where most of our farms are located are not going to be certainly prosperous as they could with that water supply. Of course, droughts, they happen, but they also stretch budgets and make it hard for farmers and ranchers in Colorado and everywhere to make ends meet. The Colorado Farm Bureau is made up of farmers, ranchers, and consumers like you and me that work to support agriculture and find solutions to its biggest challenges. There's no easy answer, obviously, for drought, but your membership with the Farm Bureau will help them to solve problems that'll maybe help assist those family farms and ranches going and have them go, hopefully, for years and years to come. Join me and become a member of the Colorado Farm Bureau today. Support Colorado agriculture, even if you have nothing to do with ag, because where would we be without them? Yeah, even here in Colorado. Online, you can even designate your own specific county. Find out more and join. Become a member like me at coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com.
A new crash to warn you about on the west side. Westbound C470 at Bowles. Traffic back to Ken Carroll. Slow eastbound C470 Alameda to Morrison. Crash in Commerce City. Eastbound I-270. Left lane blocked before Vasquez. It's back to I-25. And reports of a crash westbound near Vasquez, backing traffic to I-70. Sluggish southbound I-225. Parker down to I-25. It's moving okay northbound I-25 through the Tech Center. And then slows University up to I-70. I'm Davita with a look at your traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores.
George Brockler here with 710 KNUS. If you missed Friday's show, sweet mother of goodness, go back and listen to the podcast. Too much to put here, but let me tease you for next week. Monday, Ron Hanks. The rest of the week, how about Greg Lopez, candidate for governor, and Tina Peters on Thursday, candidate for Secretary of State for the great state of Colorado. Stay tuned. 710 KNUS.
George Brockler, Monday morning from 6 to 10 on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is George Brockler for Littleton Jewelry. I don't know about you, but a local jeweler I can trust is a little thing that's actually a big thing. Whether it's a watch repair, diamond upgrade, or something else, anything else, we're usually talking about a piece of jewelry that has as much sentimental value as it does monetary value. Littleton Jewelry are my team. I trust for everything from repairs to major purchases. Jesse and his team will take great care of you. Littleton Jewelry is located on Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com.
Whether you're in business or in school, Staples has your tech.
How about wireless headphones so I'm not tied to my desk?
Staples has your tech.
A tablet for when I travel by train?
The latest laptop for a soon-to-be summa cum laude?
Staples offers tech solutions and accessories for learners, small business, and remote workers too. From the latest laptops to networking solutions. And now, Apple AirPods Pro are just $199. You save $50. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 5/14, limit 2 while supplies last.
Pandemic restrictions on immigrants seeking asylum in the U.S. will stand for now. We'll have details in the next news update.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Show. And of course, followed by Wake Up with Randy Corcoran, 9 to noon. For those that, like you, may or may not remember our 2+ months ago pro-Putin Tuesday, Matt and I still smirk about that because that was one of, in now our 5th year together, that was one of our strangest days together, where I'm talking about the invasion of a sovereign country. People were saying, well, Russia may be invading, but what was it, Matt? Zelensky and Ukraine are corrupt anyway. So, okay, I guess we just go ahead and let another country bomb, newly create 10+ million refugees. But I bring this up not to poke the bear. I bring up the pro-Putin Tuesday because back then, when the war on Ukraine first began, many of you pro-Putin Tuesday callers, texters, emailers, social media interactors were saying, well, NATO and the United States, they've been poking the Russian bear for years. What do you expect them to do? Well, call me crazy. I don't expect them to invade and kill pregnant women and their babies and children and all of that, but just go ahead and call me crazy. There were some that said it was fake. Well, sorry, I don't buy any of certainly that bullshit. But anyhow, if you thought that just the talk back in the Clinton years of, okay, Ukraine, you get rid of your nukes and we just may let you into NATO someday. If you thought that was poking the bear, what must you be thinking today? As it is not beyond the realm of possibility that the new 2 additions to NATO may be not necessarily in the order of importance, but Sweden and Finland. Like Ukraine, Finland shares a portion of its border with Russia. So if you were involved on pro-Putin Tuesday a couple of months ago, and you thought that the bear was being poked because of the talk of Ukraine becoming a NATO member, you must be going crazy today. I want to play you a little bit, and we'll have much more this weekend on the American Veteran Show. But this on Ukraine from the CBC in Canada, talking about the latest with NATO.
Russia making more warnings over Finland's membership in NATO. The Finnish parliament is expected to approve its application as early as next week, ending the country's post-Second World War neutrality. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says the Finns will be warmly welcomed into the alliance. The process would take as long as a year. Finland has one of the largest armies in Europe, and the country also shares a border with Russia, 1,300 kilometers long. So the Kremlin says Finland's joining NATO would be viewed as a definite threat to Russia. Finland further advanced along this road, but we know that in Sweden as well, the discussion ongoing, and we do expect to hear from Sweden too, similar moves within the next couple of days. The Swedish foreign minister talking about this today, how military non-alignment has served the country well, but Sweden too in a new situation. So
that from CBC. So it sure sounds like it's going to be a possibility. I mean, it definitely is a possibility. It sounds like it even if it takes a year. What the heck? Remember, speaking of Ukraine, remember Snake Island. Snake Island. Okay, let me give you a refresher, a little reminder. Russian warship, go F yourself. That was Snake Island. Well, our military analyst on this program, one of my favorite all-time guests, is our military analyst, Mike Lyons, United States Army Major, retired. He has worked literally boots on the ground, side by side with members of NATO forces. And Mike has been, as we've discussed over the last, I guess, 3 to 4 weeks, Mike has been contributing to CNN's analysis of the war on Ukraine. And this from this morning, they begin with the said island where the words were, Russian warship, go F yourself.
All right, joining me now is retired U.S. Army Major Mike Lyons. Talk about what's been happening in the Black Sea, these battles that have been going on around Snake Island, which is right there. What's the significance of that?
So the Russian Black Sea Fleet, about 40 combat vehicles and ships, they clearly have control over that area there. There's international waters there. NATO ships can go there as well. But there's a fight that's going to come here on the Black Sea. And what the Ukraine military is going to do is the same thing that they're doing on land here. They're going to use drones, Harpoon missiles coming from Britain. And what they're going to end up doing is trying to fight a naval battle without a navy. It's unbelievable when you think about it. But the coastal defenses that they have are up to speed again, 21st century versus World War II. The Russian Black Sea Fleet is going to be in for a fight.
That's really interesting right now in this day and age, fighting a naval battle. You can see in the yellow there, that's the area where the Ukrainians have regained some territory. You push in here, it looks a little bigger. Explain to me the keys here of this Russian retreat.
Okay, so what's happened is Russia recognizes that it failed around Kharkiv. And outside of artillery range right now, they're now going to reposition most of these forces down in this area here. So before, they were looking to have 2 avenues of approach down to that salient that exists down in the Donbass region. and then eventually they have to get to Kramatorsk because that's where the infrastructure is. That's where the lines of communications are. All those things are in there. So instead, they're going to negate this complete access here. They're going to focus all their combat power now right here. What it's going to do is going to allow the Ukraine military to do the same, adjust. They're now going to reposition most of their forces down here. You're going to see a very big battle, I think, ensue down in the sea.
Before we go push in to that area there, I just want to talk about bigger picture here. The Russians made a big play for the capital Kyiv, the largest city in Ukraine. They made a big play for Kharkiv, the second largest city. They thought this city would fall right away. The Russians have failed in both counts. What does that tell you?
Yeah, accumulated in both spots, and they're at least learning. They're trying to adjust, but it just goes to show you they don't have enough troops. The Ukraine military has performed superbly. The 21st century tactics and technology is beating the World War II tactics and technology, and that's really what's happening every day.
When you look, though, in Donbass, and we were talking about Rubizhne, this is this city that there's been a lot of fighting, and the Ukrainians now report they've lost a key foothold there. Is it possible that the Russians are sort of, with this slow creep, beginning to take over the territory they want?
I think the Ukraine military is going to look at this as possibly losing a battle, but still winning the war. So they might lose certain areas and in certain cities in that regard. But if they can reinforce now behind it, okay, and perform both a static defense, bring that equipment in from the west, the artillery is proving critical every single day. I think that's what their mindset is. And I'm sure that's what we're telling them. That's how they got to look at this.
Now, when we look at the big geopolitical moves that have happened the last few days, Finland, the leaders of Finland saying they want to join NATO without delay. Sweden also. So what happens then if Finland and Sweden are in NATO and Russia already saying they're not going to take this lying down?
Well, that gives them Article 5 protection. It's going to take a while for that to happen. Both of those countries are additive to NATO right now, 30-member countries. Both of those countries would add significant impact to NATO. I've never been one to add some of these countries that we've added. Unfortunately, in the past, only 22 out of the 30 NATO nations actually spend the 2% of their GDP. So NATO's had problems. This is one of Vladimir Putin's miscalculations. He didn't think NATO was going to get its stuff together in order to respond the way it has. But in this case, it's different. Finland with 5 million people, terrific military, no border disputes, a democracy. They would be in NATO tomorrow and be additive.
Yeah, don't sleep on Finland. Finland's got a military, a well-trained military that knows how to fight.
That from CNN, our military analyst Mike Lyons joining John Berman, CNN. Let's take our break now, and when we come back, we will give you some of the sound of this week, including today's top story, and that would be, well, the baby formula shortage that is impacting things coast to coast. So we'll talk about that straight ahead. Let's do that now. Let's get news on 710 KNUS. Stay right there.
News Talk 710. Update.
Trump-era pandemic restrictions on immigrants seeking asylum in the U.S. will stand for now. That's the ruling from a judge hearing the case involving the temporary restraining order against ending Title 42. Since 2020, it has been used more than 1.8 million times to deny migrants a chance to seek asylum in the U.S. due to COVID restrictions. The Biden administration wants to end it. A Louisiana judge said he will issue a ruling on the preliminary injunction before Title 42 officially expires on May 23rd. That means it could officially end on that day. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is saying goodbye. Psaki said she has worked with an incredible team and amazing people. She thanked reporters for challenging and pushing her and called the daily briefings democracy in action. She will be replaced by her top deputy, Karine Jean-Pierre. An asteroid bigger than the Empire State Building will have a brush with Earth this weekend. NASA says the potentially dangerous space rock will fly by our planet on Sunday evening at more than 18,000 miles per hour. They describe it as potentially dangerous because it will get within 3.5 million miles of Earth. Anything closer than 4.6 million miles earns that distinction. This particular asteroid came even closer to Earth back in 2020 and will give us another visit by 2024. This report is sponsored by Done Right. If you're going to do it right or don't bother. Call Done Right for kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, and even replacement windows and doors. 800-362-8370 or drhi.com. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Congestion in Thornton, a crash northbound I-25 at 84th Avenue. 2 left lanes blocked. Stop and go from I-76. Crash on the west side, westbound C-470 at Bowles. The left lane blocked. Traffic back to Ken Carroll. Slow on the eastbound side of C-470 Alameda to Morrison. A crash in Commerce City, I-270 eastbound. The left lane blocked. It's before Vasquez. Traffic back to I-25. And a crash on the westbound side near Vasquez. Traffic back to I-70. Sluggish southbound I-225 Parker to I-25. I'm DeVita with a look at traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies. Overnight lows will be in the middle to upper 40s. West breezes easing. The weekend going to be pretty uneventful. Denver will see highs in the 70s to near 80 Saturday and Sunday. Nights will be in the 40s to near 50 degrees. Probably dry through the weekend, but we'll start to see some late-day thunderstorm activity early next week. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to MediShare for their healthcare, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And MediShare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. MediShare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it. Find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 855-94-BIBLE. That's 855-94-BIBLE, 855-94-BIBLE.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy payroll customer.
Well, it's very easy to use. From the login and the setup was extremely easy. I didn't have to call anyone for help. I was able to do it on my own. And I love the fact that I can run my payroll and print my pay stubs, and then you guys do all of the filing for me. So I get a quarterly report that everything's been filed on my behalf. And then at the end of the year, I can print out my W-2s. So I use you guys. I tell everybody, it's the easiest thing I've ever done. Why anybody doesn't use y'all, I don't know.
Visit us at PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Stinks.
In one word, would I use hope as a strategy? Nope. If you see your friends and family struggling financially, don't hope. You'll be lucky. Text the word INVEST to the number 484848 to discover the strategies Wall Street uses every day for income in the stock market that are available to the public. Text the word INVEST to the number 484848 today to register for a free introductory class at Online Trading Academy.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Listen live on Odyssey. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
This week is from 2008. It's a great film, even though I shouldn't say that until we get into our review. We've got clips, trivia, and more, sponsored by Danny Cash, Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com, from 2008. The true story about how Napa Valley wines really got on the international stage, and that was a competition. The the audacity of Northern California wine entered into a French wine contest.
For centuries, the best wines in the world were made in France. And in 1976,
I just read an article that said California is going to produce wine that will rival the finest of the French.
Bonjour. They held the competition to prove it.
I'm going to California to try and find some respectable competition.
The world tends to think of us as a bunch of hicks taking on the French.
Did I mention that the tasting was blind?
I don't know. If the French lose, they might bring back the guillotine.
Is there a spare in that trunk?
Oh, yes. And a first
We will have clips, trivia, and more, as mentioned, coming up in just about 1 hour as we talk about bottle shock. And, of course, we give the film assignment on Monday around 6:45-ish, and then we head on into the weekend on Friday the way we will coming up next hour. However, it is time for a look back at the sound that you reacted to. We took calls and texts and emails and social media interaction. Let's get into it. What a week it was.
Hello, this is the mayor of the pickleball. We're on 710 KNUS, Steffan Tubbs.
Hey everyone, I'm standing outside the Supreme Court where a whole lot's been happening over the last week. As you probably know, a recently leaked draft opinion previewed the court is set to overturn Roe versus Wade, undoing nearly half a century of law and freedom.
22 DAs, right? And there are different views. But I managed to get on the phone with 3 that I knew had different positions on this bill. Showed them the language and asked them the question.
The oil and natural gas that we rely on for 75% of our energy are simply running out. In spite of increased effort, domestic production has been dropping steadily at about 6% a year. Imports have doubled in the last 5 years, and our nation's economic and political independence is becoming increasingly vulnerable.
Liquefied. They're molded into the shape of a beautiful spoon. The spoon drops and cools off to harden. Wrapped in plastic, it is put into a box, and the box is put on a pallet, and the pallet is put into a container.
45 states and territories are seeing at least a 10% increase in COVID infections. The current hotspot, the Northeast. Boston officials recommending but not yet mandating a return to masks indoors, as some parts of the city are now considered
enough for our military and military families, in particular people that have lost somebody. That's just it's just, yeah.
You're there every year. You're there every year.
Yeah, like you, I have a real passion. I'm actually one of my outside roles of rather than being running Gold Crown Foundation.
When I was a kid, my dad showed me this obscure movie that no one's ever heard of called Top Gun, and I saw that when I was a little guy, and I was immediately like, that's what I want to do with my life. So I was very lucky in that I knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. And
we went to go knock on the governor's door, and it was locked. No kidding. And Representative Tipper and I were like, well, what do we do? And Representative Neville says, well, I got his number. I can call him.
At the end of the day, the effect will be the same. Law enforcement will need to substantiate through the investigation that the person knew they had fentanyl, or else the charge is just simply going to become a misdemeanor. You are back to the way that this bill came to us originally from the House.
San Francisco is one of the richest cities in the world. But below its gleaming buildings lies a humanitarian disaster.
We have had, more overdose deaths in 1 year than we did of COVID deaths in our city.
Astronomers have released the first wild but fuzzy image of a supermassive black hole at the center of our own Milky Way galaxy. The image was made by using 8 synchronized radio telescopes around the world.
The reason why this is important is because although we've theorized about the existence of black holes, we haven't been able to directly observe a black hole.
Derek.
Joker again from downtown. Got it!
The
company claims to be committed to inclusion and diversity, but it still discriminates against those who can't have dairy. End the vegan upcharge now.
Save the planet, save the cows.
End the vegan upcharge now.
Save the planet, save the cows.
End the vegan upcharge now.
In the Kentucky Derby. And Summer is tomorrow, had a great start and goes immediately to the early lead. Messier is away, has done it in a stunning, unbelievable upset.
Forget Rich Strike, Lightning Strike. That's one of the biggest upsets in the history of the Kentucky Derby. Friday morning at 8 a.m., this horse was not in the race. Eric Reed, the trainer, Sonny Leon, the jockey, have never been a part of the Derby, and they have won an unbelievably upset, shocking Kentucky Derby with Rich Strike.
The people, united, will never be defeated.
In Madison, Wisconsin, police say a Molotov cocktail thrown into the headquarters of an anti-abortion group, vandalized with a warning, spray painted on a wall. If abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either.
A senior defense official says the Russians are at least 2 weeks behind where Vladimir Putin thought they would be. Even Mariupol remains contested, and the Russians have suffered big losses. Defense Intelligence Chief Lieutenant General Scott Barrier questioned today by Senator Tom Cotton.
You know the current count on how many generals have been killed in Ukraine on Russia's side?
I think the number is between 8 and 10.
I'm Jim Crusul in High Point, North Carolina. It's a new record high for gas prices. The national average is now at $4.37 a gallon, according to AAA. Vic Bennett told me it's taking the fun out of life.
The gas prices are...
It's the ultra MAGA agenda. It's the ultra MAGA agenda.
Astronomers have released the first wild but fuzzy image of a supermassive black hole at the center of our own Milky Way galaxy. The image was made by using 8 synchronized radio telescopes around the world.
The reason why this is important is because...
You to your breed, your fleet, your plan be true. Sheep be true. Baram you. We will not go back. We will not go back. We will not go back. We will not go back.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the President and the First Lady. They entrusted me in serving in this role for the last 15 months. And I talked about this a little bit before, but during my first conversation with them, which was in November of 2020 after the election, I was very nervous when I went to see them in Delaware. And really what we talked about for the majority of our conversation was the importance of returning integrity.
Parents desperately searching for the vital food their babies need. With soaring inflation and ongoing supply chain delays, parents across the country are facing a crisis with no end in sight. The national out-of-stock average for popular baby formulas jumped to 40% last month. Many major retailers have put limits on how much baby formula you can buy at a time.
It's a bone-deep anxiety of, is my child going to get what they need?
The shortage comes after Abbott Nutrition, a key manufacturer, issued a massive voluntary recall.
Fred, you're playing Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff. Was your physical resemblance to the man a factor as far as you know?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm sure it must have had something to do with it. I mean, with all the astronauts to some degree. But I did read for 2 or 3 different parts. And, you know, in the juggling around process, wound up with that one, I guess. But although it did.
Hello, this is the mayor of the pickleball. We're on 710 KNUS, Steffan Tubbs.
Just like that. That's all there is to it. That's all
And there you go. I love doing that. I hope you enjoy it as much as Matt and I enjoy bringing it to you. Just some of this. That's just since Monday. that we talk about it. Oh, by the way, what are you talking about? The Kentucky Derby was yes, it was last Saturday, but we didn't have a chance to talk about it with you because we're not on Saturday. So we started talking about the amazing Kentucky Derby, for example. We did that on Monday. That is a lot of stuff. We cover a lot. You react to a lot, discuss it with us, calls, texts, emails, social media, and now simulcast live on the 710 KNUS YouTube channel. We head into our final hour of the program today on this Friday, Open Line Friday. If you haven't called this week, you've gotten a busy signal. There's something on your mind besides baby formula. We'll have open lines for the first 35 minutes of the hour. Then we've got the film Bottle Shock coming up. Stay with us. News is next, and we'll be back for one final hour.
George Brockler here with 710 KNUS. If you missed Friday's show, sweet mother of goodness, go back and listen to the podcast. Too much to put here, but let me tease you for next week. Monday, Ron Hanks. The rest of the week, how about Greg Lopez, candidate for governor, and Tina Peters on Thursday, candidate for Secretary of State for the great state of Colorado. Stay tuned. 710 KNUS.
George Brockler, Monday morning from 6 to 10 on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thinking of selling your home? Do you want to net the most money? What if you could eliminate your top selling expense? Hi, George Brockler here, and I guarantee that you will net the most money with my friend, realtor Gay Ribble, the Ribble Group Keller Williams Realty DTC through her zero commission program. This program is designed to guarantee that you net the most money by having the buyer pay, wait for it, all the commission. The Phillips family thought this was too good to be true until they called Gay Ribble. Within 1 day, they were under contract for $16,000 more than a previous realtor had told them they could get, and the buyer paid all the commission. The Ribble Group's zero commission program makes it easy, matching your home to one of their buyers who, again, will pay all the commission. To learn more about the zero commission program, call the Ribble Group at 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or visit Gay, spelled Gaye, hasthebuyers.com. That's Gay, hasthebuyers.com. Hey, it's George Brockler with 710 KNUS. For a business owner like me, it's always tax season. The Employee Retention Credit is a great way to pay down back taxes or to receive your credit from the IRS via check. The taxpayer advocates, and they are advocates, at El Dorado Tax Solutions offer real-world solutions, not empty promises like so many do. This boutique firm can help stop bank levies and garnishments. Call El Dorado Tax Solutions at 720-769-7433 to see if you qualify for ERC credits and or to discuss your tax liability. That's El Dorado Tax Solutions at eldoradotaxsolutions.com.
Poor Sam was a mess. Always itching, licking. His paws were soaking wet. He had bald spots on his back. DINOVITE.com. 2 weeks after he started Dynamite, I started seeing great improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. Dynamite is nutrition. Dynamite is the best thing you can do for your dog.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynamite from DINOVITE.com.
Hi, it's Steffan Tubbs to remind you that Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour, we get the latest on financial markets and how to protect your hard-earned money. Join my friend and advisor, David Fisher of Landmark Gold. You know, as markets continue to fluctuate, inflation hits our pockets, and government spending increases, David shares his wisdom as well as principles to navigate these times. Money Mondays in the 3 p.m. hour right here on 710 KNUS during the Steffan Tubbs Show, or catch hour one of the podcast. Learn more on David at landmarkgold.com.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Congestion in Thornton, a crash northbound I-25 at 84th Avenue. 2 left lanes blocked. Stop and go from I-76. Crash on the west side, westbound C-470 at Bulls. The left lane blocked. Traffic back to King Carroll. Slow on the eastbound side of C-470 Alameda to Morrison. A crash in Commerce City, I-270 eastbound. The left lane blocked. It's before Vasquez. Traffic back to I-25. And a crash on the westbound side near Vasquez. Traffic back to I-70. Sluggish southbound I-225 Parker to I-25. I'm DeVita with a look at traffic traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price of participation may vary.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 74 degrees in the Denver metro. We're going to have lows in the mid-50s this evening. We'll have the 710 5-day forecast coming up. President Biden is highlighting the importance of the U.S. relationship with Southeast Asian nations.
We'll continue to elevate this partnership and strengthen our cooperation and to make a better, safer, more prosperous world for all our children. So thank you.
During a U.S.-ASEAN summit at the State Department, the president cited security as a key mutual concern. He also addressed the importance of respect for human rights and the rule of law. There are growing concerns about China's growing influence in the region. ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com. Cherry Creek Reservoir is set to reopen to boats after being closed for recovery operation. Colorado Parks and Wildlife says efforts to recover the body of a missing tuber will continue even after the reservoir opened today. On Wall Street, at the closing bell, the Dow closed the week at plus 466 points. The S&P added 93 points, and the NASDAQ rose 434 points. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10, only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022.
Partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies. Overnight lows will be in the middle to upper 40s. West breezes easy. The weekend going to be pretty uneventful. Denver will see highs in the 70s to near 80 Saturday and Sunday. Nights will be in the 40s to near 50 degrees. Probably dry through the weekend, but we'll start to see some late-day thunderstorm activity early next week. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Start off, and we will have open lines if you want to talk about what is going on in Tiny Town. I don't know. I just pulled that out. What's going on with the Tiny Town train? There's drought. Will the Broncos win the Super Bowl? No. Hashtag we are not a sports show. But open lines until about 6:40 this evening, and then we've got a great film for you coming up. It's Bottle Shock from 2008.
It wasn't always like this. Before Paris, people didn't drink our wine. I mean, my friends did, but you could hardly consider their palates discerning. Hell, we were farmers. Sort of.
I like that. Little Doobie Brothers in it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you watched with us, we'll give you clips, trivia, and more. Powered by Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com. That will come up. There is also... Well, if you're just tuning in, you're still probably aware if you're just even clicking on now, and welcome. There's a baby formula shortage, and it's more serious than you think. And before you go, well, all they got to do is look to their grandmother or great grandmother's recipe and just take evaporated milk and put some Caro syrup in, or take some goat's milk and put some molasses in it. I think we need to kind of just stay on the sidelines on this one. Can this be perhaps even though we are a talk show. Can this just be perhaps between mom, baby, and the doctor? We'll get into that. Many ways to get in touch with us, and now a way to watch me. I don't know how exciting it is, but hello to our YouTube audience, 710KNUS YouTube page. Thank you for, tuning in. Subscribe there. You can get alerts as to when that channel, the 710KNUS YouTube channel, goes live. And so there you go. Welcome and thank you. Our number, 303-696-1971. You can text the studio via the free-to-download app. The website, of course, 710knus.com/Steffan. And you can listen to live streaming audio. Welcome to our potential global audience listening from wherever you are right at this very moment. You can listen to past shows, of course, every hour of every program, podcast, commercial break free at the app or the website. I want to start a multiple network look today at the baby formula shortage out there. And is there really a stockpile right now that's being held at the U.S.-Mexico border, held not for U.S. mothers, but for illegals being held and they need it for their babies? We'll get into it all. First, from ABC News.
You all keep hearing these stories. We all do about
CBS,
moms and
my
dads
bad.
finding empty shelves when they go looking for new supplies of formula for their little babies. This is a national shortage, and it, we're sorry to say, is getting worse. Formula is now 43% out of stock nationwide. That's up from 31% last month. Nancy Cordes will have more on the Biden administration's response in just a moment. But first, we're going to go to Adriana Diaz for more on this story. Adriana, good morning to you.
Good morning. Well, Abbott, the nation's largest supplier of baby formula, headquartered outside Chicago, says its Michigan plant could restart within 2 weeks. But it could be up to 2 months for that new product to land on shelves. You might remember Abbott had to shut its factory down after a recall, and parents have become consumed by the hunt for formula. New mom Jaylene Orellana is so desperate for baby formula, she's willing to drive 14 hours to pick up formula she had her aunt buy in Mexico.
I'd rather be safe, like have cans stocked up, than sorry to my daughter that not knowing when she's going to eat.
This week, the 19-year-old from Houston drove 3 hours to get formula from a dad who didn't need it in Austin. They connected on a social media site like this one, where parents post if they need formula or have extra. Are you worried that you're not going to be able to find formula for your baby one of these days?
I am. I'm willing to drive whatever I have to drive.
As the shortage grows, families are scrambling, but pediatricians like Dr. Joshua Wexler are warning parents not to water down formula or try homemade recipes.
You can't ensure the micronutrient calorie density is all correct, that you're using the appropriate water source potentially. There might be a lot of issues.
Those who find formula face a tough choice, like Michigan mom Destiny Featherstone, whose youngest is 4 months old.
Yesterday, there was just enough for her month's supply, and I wanted to get it all, but I was like, I don't want to take from the other babies.
Virginia mom Erica Lopez says she never knows if she'll find formula on the shelves.
When my daughter doesn't drink the whole bottle, I'm like, oh my God, she just wasted 2-3 ounces. I'm like, that was a scoop that we could have saved.
Back in Texas, Oriana says she buys extra formula when she sees it, but not for the reason you might think. She says she's sending the extra cans to other families to help them.
This morning, parents desperately searching for the vital food their babies need. With soaring inflation and ongoing supply chain delays, parents across the country are facing a crisis with no end in sight. The national out-of-stock average for popular baby formulas jumped to 40% last month. Many major retailers have put limits on how much baby formula you can buy at a time.
It's a bone-deep anxiety of, is my child going to get what they need?
The shortage comes after Abbott Nutrition, a key manufacturer, issued a massive voluntary recall in February, following 4 complaints of bacterial infection linked to baby formula that the CDC says may have contributed to the deaths of 2 infants. The recall shutting down the company's Michigan plant and impacting certain Similac, Alimentum, and L-Care formulas. After an investigation by the FDA and CDC, Abbott conceded that some of its processes were not followed and says it is set out to improve its systems and address the issues raised. The company now telling NBC News there is no evidence to link our formulas to these infant illnesses.
Even just trying to think of going a day with having to be completely off of his regular Abbott formula to something else is stressful.
Jordan Coleman's 9-year-old son Carter suffers from a metabolic disorder that requires a specialized formula that Abbott makes. Without it, the family says he could suffer brain damage, fall into a coma, or die.
He's asked me a couple of times if this means that he's going to die.
Again, as we take a look at what the networks are doing today on the baby formula shortage in this country, you heard from CBS, that was from NBC. This from ABC with a Colorado connection.
This morning, the FDA is looking at ways to import more baby formula to ease the worsening shortage here in the U.S., with the possibility of loosening import restrictions. Ireland, the Netherlands, and Chile are now identified as potential sources for more formula.
We're going to work with manufacturers. We're going to import more to expedite this as quickly as possible.
President Biden Thursday said he spoke with manufacturers and the CEOs of Target and Walmart about ways to boost supplies. The out-of-stock rate for baby formula in the U.S. was more than 40% at the beginning of the month.
My sister picked me up some in Arvada yesterday, my dad up in Thornton the other day.
Ashley Lane in Colorado is one of the many moms struggling to find the formula her infant son needs.
There was nothing left on the entire shelf. I took a picture and sent it home, and I was like, thank goodness we have a couple cans left.
When asked why the administration has not acted sooner, the White House said efforts had been underway for months.
The steps the president took today are an acknowledgement and a recognition that more needs to be done, that we do not want parents, mothers, families out there to be stressed and worried about feeding their babies.
This is not a third world country. This should never happen in the United States of America.
The outcry is providing Republicans with another line of attacks against the Biden administration. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor yesterday read letters from worried parents.
We've been struggling to get formula for our granddaughter for months now. The situation has turned dire.
And now Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling the Biden administration reckless for providing migrants at the border with baby formula. A Texas congresswoman tweeted this image of a shelf full of formula. She says the photo was taken at a processing center in McAllen, Texas. A representative from the Hope Border Institute responded saying, quote, "These children, all children, deserve access to full life, including food, shelter, and love."
The shortage is blamed in part on a recall back in February. The affected plant in Michigan should come back online soon, but it could take up to 10 weeks for supplies to be restocked.
That from ABC News. Last hour, we had a chance to discuss things and this shortage with a local group called We Cycle, W-E-E, Cycle, wecycle.org. And they're definitely seeing the slowly emptying shelves, even at where they would store for then, families, women to come and say if they're, economically challenged, they can go and get formula, etc. I grocery shopped today. I don't go down the diaper aisle, but you could not help but see as you strolled by with your cart, there's empty shelves at, a South Metro grocery store. So it's definitely happening. And it just leads me to, I guess, a couple of things. Number one, that we are apparently so dependent. It's one company can cause this coast to coast. If you're just joining us, we had a texter sent in. Mr. and Mrs. Texter says, if Trump were in office, we would have Operation Warp Speed, but instead of a vaccine, it would be for baby formula. I don't know, but that's concerning. I wonder how many other companies, like, for example, if Coca-Cola just had to stop right now, there may be a demand for, obviously, Coca-Cola products that are on the shelves now, but we wouldn't run out of soda. There may be a little bit more, say, taxing times for employees of PepsiCo, but one company, and look, I'm not criticizing them for having a recall and possibly halting operations. 2 infants died. Potentially, there could have been more, who knows, because of a bacterial issue. But one company And then they say they may not be actually getting stuff back online. And well, I mean, maybe within the next couple of weeks, but then it could be a couple of months before you actually start seeing those products again on shelves. So that's one issue. The other to me, and look, I'm not down there. I don't know. But if you believe the Texas governor, if you believe a congresswoman from Texas, they're stockpiling things like baby formula along our border with Mexico. See if we can have that settle just a little bit in our minds. I mentioned earlier, I'm not trying to go out on a plank and say, save the American baby, let the illegal woman who is here, let her baby die. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'll tell you what, and I'm a God-fearing, decent human being, at least, just ask me. If I have a chance, and if I had one can of baby formula, I'm going to give it to somebody who's here legally. And by the way, that is not going to be a life or death situation. Once again, this is not baby food, it's baby formula. We did get, and I understand we've had good texts back and forth, but I mean, we started off in the first 30 minutes of this program today. Someone said, I don't see what the big deal is. All they've got to do is blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, respectfully, first, are you a man or a woman? Turned out to be a man. I've given you a pro tip at least twice. I'll do it in the 6 o'clock hour as well. Just a tip, like I tell men, and this tip is for men. I've told you before, jean shorts, a bad idea. In your 20s or any other age group, certainly in your 50s or 60s. Jean shorts, bad idea. Pro tip number 2, comb over, never a good idea. Pro tip number 3 from the Steffan Tubbs Show, never wear socks with sandals. Of course, you can do whatever you want. And maybe a pro tip with this one, unless you have given birth, I don't know, as I've said earlier in the show, maybe, guys, just sit this one out. Maybe avoid, unless you just cannot help it, avoid sending, say, a text to a radio program like this of maybe from a male's perspective saying, I don't understand, what's the big deal? Just get some molasses and some goat milk. Unless you gave birth, I just don't think you probably should maybe stick your nose into an issue that should be between the mother, the baby, and the doctor. But I've been called much worse than crazy. So there you go. I realize also that this country has had generations and generations and generations of healthy individuals who were not given formula as children, babies, because formula did not exist. I realize there are ways. And also, this has not been ever my intention, and thank goodness we didn't get into it because I don't have the energy. This has never been mother's milk versus formula thoughts. This has never been whether mother's milk is better than formula. That's not the debate here. The debate to me is, how the hell do we have one company that if it shuts down like it did, and what did our guest with WeCycle say last hour? That they started noticing a shortage 3 months ago? But again, my issues, number one, there's one company, and that's it. Number 2, would it really surprise you if right now, let's just say as a total example, the U.S. government has enough formula for 10,000 babies at the border of Texas and the United States, or excuse me, Texas and Mexico. It wouldn't surprise me. And then there was the tearful, I don't even know if there were tears shed. I didn't certainly shed any tears, as today, Friday the 13th, circled on her calendar for months, most likely in her 3-ring binder, the comments that she would make, goodbye, Jen Psaki, goodbye.
President Biden thank you. I want to say thank you to the president and the first lady. They entrusted me in serving this role for the last 15 months. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but during my first conversation with them, which was in November of 2020 after the election, I was very nervous when I went to see them in Delaware. And really what we talked about for the majority of our conversation was the importance of returning integrity, respect, and civility to the White House. The small sliver of my job here in engaging with all of you, that doesn't not mean that we haven't let our Irish side show, mine and the president's as well, from time to time. I recognize that. But on my best days, and as I look back, I hope I followed the example of integrity and grace that they have set for all of us and do set for all of us every day. And I'm incredibly grateful to them.
It would have been enhanced, and we will, with the sad piano music. Watch how much more emotion comes from the goodbye when you put the sad piano music behind it.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the president and the first lady. They entrusted me in serving this role for the last 15 months. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but during my first conversation with them, which
no more. Speaking of the president,
I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid.
Really?
That will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy, and the guys who are the kleptocracies. But these are bad guys.
You see, I mean, actually though, Matt, the sad piano music could not bail Joe Biden out of that one. Let's see, does this work? No, I think we've got to say goodbye to the sad piano music. Also in honor of Peppermint Patty leaving. Remember this mashup quickly that Matt put together.
Spotify.
Goodbye, Jen Psaki. No one is going to watch you on MSNBC. They're sweet cheeks. Good luck. Good night. Good luck. And good riddance. My friends at 888 Heating and Air, they're terrific. If you have never had them out for an $88 performance check, what are you waiting for? Right now, your air conditioning system, if it could speak, it'd be going, please clean me. Please clean me. I'm dirty and I'm sucking you dry with energy. Now, that is only if your AC unit could talk. Get them checked out by our trusted friends and team at 888 Heating and Air. You know what? You may be getting ripped off, and that non-talking AC unit of yours may be sucking you dry because older units can be the biggest energy consumers. 888 Heating has a limited time offer right now, $2,088 off new AC and furnace installations. Who knows? You purchase it now, you may be starting to see an immediate impact on how much money you're spending. Look, times are tight for most people. 888, they only install American standard units, the best in the industry at the best price. They'll go the distance for you. Online, 888heating.com for the easiest scheduling, and their team is totally professional. You'll even get a text message ahead of time, and you'll know who the technician is that will be on their way. And I love it because they're not a company that says, oh, you want us to come out? Sure. Let me try to upsell you on this. Nope, they're not going to do that. And they also will not say, great, we'll be there. Yeah, Wednesday, the 27th or whatever, between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. They're going to have a specified time, and, you know, it's going to be a window of time, but you're not going to have to rearrange your entire schedule. Tell them Steffan sent you. All the details online, 888heating.com. We're heading into our final 30 minutes of the program. Our film review, Bottle Shock from 2008. We'll get traffic and weather. And speaking of Bottle Shock, we'll We'll go to the break with one of the clips.
You know, I don't come around here asking for money unless I need it.
What's wrong with the old grape press?
It's bruising the grapes. It's not about getting it done. It's about getting it done right. It's about making the best goddamn wine that we can.
Jim, I have no interest in taking your dream away. But maybe it's time you look for a new one.
You want me to sign every page?
This is your third loan. You default, we take Chateau Montalina.
Another crash up north, this one eastbound I-76 before the Hudson Highway 52 exit. In Thornton, still looking at a crash northbound I-25 at 84th Avenue. Stop and go from I-76. Both crashes in Commerce City on I-270 are gone. It's still slow westbound from I-70 to Quebec and eastbound from I-76 to York. The crash westbound C470, that's gone too. Traffic moving a lot better through there. I-25, not too bad through the downtown. Slow northbound Santa Fe to 8th Avenue. I'm DeVito with traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Charlie Kirk explains the leaked Supreme Court documents.
It simply means that states will be able to determine their own abortion laws. States will be able to say that if they want to outlaw abortion, then so be it. It's less about abortion, it's more about the Constitution. That's a very important thing, where the left, they believe that abortion, for whatever reason, is some sort of constitutional right. It isn't.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 10, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on News Talk 710. KNUS.
Hey, Mike, what are you doing way up on that ladder? You're going to hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm trying to unclog these gutters.
That's smart. I had water damage from my gutters last year. It cost me $10,000.
Wait, $10,000?
Yeah, and from over here, it looks like water's been pouring over your clogged gutters, and it's probably doing real damage to your foundation. You need to do what I did. Get off the ladder and call Leaf Filter.
Yeah, but I need to get these gutters flowing now.
That's why you need to call Leaf Filter. They'll clean and realign your gutters and install their exclusive micro mesh screen system so nothing gets in your gutters except water.
So Leaf Filter protects my house from damage and means no more gutter cleaning for me?
Bingo! Plus, Leaf Filter has an industry-leading lifetime warranty, so your gutters are covered for life.
Thanks, Frank. I'm calling Leaf Filter today.
Don't go another day with your home unprotected. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com right now for an extra 15% savings. Call 1-844-300-LEAF or go to tryleaffilter.com. That's 1-844-300-LEAF.
Towels just don't seem to dry you anymore. They feel soft and lotiony in the stores, but you get them home and they don't absorb. Well, Mike Lindell at MyPillow found out that around 2006, and towels changed forever. They started importing them and adding softeners and other stuff to the cotton that made them feel good, but they didn't work. So Mike found the best towel company right here in the USA. They have proprietary technology to create towels that feel soft but actually work. They're all made with USA cotton, and they come with the MyPillow 60-day money-back guarantee. You get 6 pieces, 2 bath, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths made with USA cotton, soft yet absorbent, regularly $109.99, now just $39.99. Just go to MyPillow.com and click on the new radio listener specials and get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the towels. Enter promo code SNOOZE or call 800-848-6979. That's promo code SNOOZE at MyPillow.com. Click on the new radio listener specials, or you can call 800-848-6979 for these great deals. Tanner Gun Show proudly supports the Second Amendment and the Don't Take My Guns movement. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Crown Plaza in Denver, I-70 in Chambers. You won't find a bigger or better selection of new handguns, hard-to-find used firearms, tons of ammo, AR accessories, stun guns, and more. This is the last gun show in the Denver area until September. Get your guns while you still can at the Tanner Gun Show. Tickets are available at the door, or you can get them online at TannerGunShow.com.
This is George Brockler for Littleton Jewelry. I don't know about you, but a local jeweler I can trust is a little thing that's actually a big thing. Whether it's a watch repair, diamond upgrade, or something else, anything else, we're usually talking about a piece of jewelry that has as much sentimental value as it does monetary value. Littleton Jewelry are my team. I trust for everything from repairs to major purchases. Jesse and his team will take great care of you. Littleton Jewelry is located on Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com.
News Talk 710, KNUS. Listen live on Odyssey. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Noon tomorrow, or however you listen to this radio station, and we greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Just real quick, text came in back to the baby formula shortage in the country right now. Well, friends, to each his or her own, right? I mean, you've got a local television anchor that would just as soon you be carrying around. Well,
I decided today to start carrying Narcan.
right. So you know, look, we all have our own opinions. This one, I'll just read it because we try to read, you know, quite a few of the texts that come in. And thank you to the Mr. and Mrs. Texter who took the time, found us, and knew how to text the studio. And I appreciate that. I just don't know if I buy this one. And I quote, "This formula shortage is part of the grand plan to destroy America." Or it could possibly be that there was some bacteria that got into batches of baby formula and they had to shut the plant down. But if Mr. or Mrs. Texter, if you feel that this is all part of the grand plan to, quote, destroy America, close quote, I hope you have a great weekend. Truly. I do. Remember, sometimes we do say that, you know, they give us a lot. There's a lot that we can say, this just doesn't all add up. This smells kind of funny. But one of the things with at least me, feet on the ground, try to be common sense. I know a lot of you disagree, but that's part of the greatness of talk radio. With my feet on the ground, I've got to say that I personally do not think that the current baby formula shortage is part of some grand plan to, quote, destroy America. But what do I know? 303-696-1971. We may have time for one phone call. Is that going to be you? Is that one phone call that we have remaining in this week of broadcasting excellence going to be you? Well, it certainly can. In the meantime, kind of bummer news today. If you did not hear, I say just because I don't think in today's 2022, I don't think 79 is old. But the actor Fred Ward passed away. I remember seeing him for the first time in what would be, and I didn't know it, his first major role was in Clint Eastwood's 1979 Escape from Alcatraz, which I loved that movie as a kid. I still love it today. If I ever see it on, I'll absolutely stop and watch. But he also was in a film that I remember as a kid seeing, and I thought it was really, really long until later I would come to appreciate it. But Fred Ward played the astronaut Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff.
Where are you planning on putting a window? Window? There's no window. No window? What about the hatch? The hatch? Yeah, the hatch. We need a hatch with explosive bolts that we can open ourselves.
I think there is something you do not understand. This is the final form of the capsule. No hatch.
What would happen if the automatic controls went out?
Backups, checks, etc. This would not happen.
I said, what would happen if it did?
Pilot would have to fly it back.
This is the way it is.
You know, I wonder how the press feel about this.
Press. What does the press have to say about it?
Yeah, what do they have to say about it? You boys know what makes this bird go up. Funding makes this bird go up.
That's right. No bucks. No Buck Rogers.
And press over there.
Yeah, no Bucks, no Buck Rogers. Fred Ward, he would star in Remo Williams, a whole bunch of movies. We'll get to one of my kind of cult favorites. It Just May Be, next week's film of the week. But right around the time that The Right Stuff had come out, Fred Ward was on an interview show, and there is an uncanny resemblance.
Fred, you're playing Gus Grissom in The Right Stuff. Was your physical resemblance to the man a factor as far as you know?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm sure it must have had something to do with it. I mean, with all the astronauts to some degree. But I did read for 2 or 3 different parts.
But he got the part of astronaut Gus Grissom. Fred Ward, also a United States Air Force veteran. We'll pay tribute to him coming up this weekend on the American Veteran Show. He was born in the Navy town of San Diego, but joined the Air Force. He also stars in, well, I think it could be considered a cult classic. You ever see the film Tremors?
Now, this valley is just one long smorgasbord. We can make it! That's how they get you. They're under the ground.
Them prairie dog burrow.
We arm ourselves. We set perimeters.
Fred Ward died 5 days ago, and his publicist made it public earlier today. And a really good actor. If you were a betting man or woman, kind of maybe count on Tremors for our film of the week next week. But, it could change, but it probably won't. We like to keep it a surprise, but we'll take a break coming up, and we'll get news. And then our Friday home stretch film review film assignment this week has been Bottle Shock from 2008, starring Alan Rickman, Bill Pullman, Chris Pine, Freddie Rodriguez. Kind of a sleeper, great performance, I think, from Dennis Farina, and even Bradley Whitford is in it from what he was in the West Wing series, I believe on NBC. So we'll take a break and have that straight ahead. If you are tired of watching the government enable the drug addicted and homeless in Colorado, specifically in Denver and Decay, if you're wondering how you can help at all, make an impact, well, think about our friends at Step Denver. Donating your vehicle will give men there the opportunity for a safe and sober, structured place to call home as they work to recover and rebuild their lives. As you probably know by now, and they're proud of it, Step Denver does not take any, not even a cent of government funding. They count on people like us. And you can think of it this way: for every vehicle that's donated, one man gets the opportunity to recover and rebuild. They maximize every amount of the vehicle donated to best serve the man at Step, and they provide you with the greatest tax deduction. We've had Vincent on so many times over the years with Step, and as you've heard over the years, it is a very simple and easy process. So before you trade in your car, truck, motorcycle, RV, consider Step, and you can have a direct impact on the drug and homelessness problem in our backyard. Call Vincent and leave a message if you call right now, 303-296-9020. That's 303-296-9020 for a free tow and a hassle-free experience, or online anytime. It's stepdenver.org, stepdenver.org. Have a good weekend, Mr. President. Have a good weekend. We will wrap up the program with Bottle Shock from 2008. That comes up next on 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said the Appropriations Committee will hold a hearing to tackle the nationwide baby formula shortage issue next week. She said the emergency also serves as a reminder to invest in strengthening America's supply chains. The Pentagon press secretary says that Congress must pass the Ukraine aid package by May 19th to ensure no interruptions. He said if the measure isn't passed, it will start impacting America's ability to provide aid to Ukraine in their fight against Russia's invasion. Delaware State University is filing a formal civil rights complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice over a traffic stop in Georgia. The move comes after DSU's women's lacrosse team had their bus and personal belongings searched last month. The state attorney general has also called for a federal civil rights probe into the incident, noting that Delaware State is one of the oldest historically black universities in the country. AAA reports the national average price for regular jumped 2 cents overnight to $4.43 a gallon. That's the highest price ever for the fourth day in a row. At $3.95 a gallon, Georgia has the lowest statewide average and is one of only 3 states below $4. At the high end, California is now up to $5.87 a gallon, the most expensive in America. This report is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance, where you only pay for what you need. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Richard Robertson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Highways are looking a lot better out there. We still have a crash eastbound I-76 before the Hudson Highway 52 exit, about a mile backup. Good news in Thornton, a crash northbound I-25 at 84th Avenue. That's gone. Traffic starting to move through there again. Still heavy in Commerce City, westbound I-270 from Quebec to Vasquez and eastbound from I-76 to York. In Morrison, eastbound Highway 74 closed due to police activity between Shady Lane and Titans Road. I'm Davita with a look at traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies. Overnight lows will be in the middle to upper 40s. West breezes easy. The weekend going to be pretty uneventful. Denver will see highs in the 70s to near 80 Saturday and Sunday. Nights will be in the 40s to near 50 degrees. Probably dry through the weekend, but we'll start to see some late-day thunderstorm activity early next week. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
You ever make a change and then think, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, that's how people feel about switching to MediShare for their healthcare, especially now with inflation the way it is. People are very happy with the savings. Most families save about $500 a month when they switch. It's a huge help when prices are going up so fast in so many other areas. And MediShare's customer satisfaction rate is double that of health insurance. It's just a different experience, and people really like that. MediShare is an alternative to health insurance. It's a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills, and it's been going strong for over 25 years. It really is the gold standard, the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. Find out why people love it, find out why they rave about the customer service, and find out how good it feels to save some money right now. They're super easy to talk to. Here's the number, 855-94-BIBLE. That's 855-94-BIBLE, 855-94-BIBLE.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy customer.
Atrius Software Accounting is amazing. I was able to see where's all my expenses going, where's the revenue, which month had more revenue. I definitely recommend it to you guys who are a small business and need to record your expenses. And they just make it so easy. I was like, wow. Affordable and easy to use. I have recommended it to colleagues.
Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
It's the most important domestic issue facing America today.
Public education has gone off the rails.
Don't miss the powerful new movie, Whose Children Are They?
Critical race theory is dividing our children.
They're teaching these kids X-rated sex acts.
Learn how to get our public schools back on track. Watch Whose Children Are They at salemnow.com.
Whose children are they?
Whose Children Are They? Available now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
By Danny Cash. Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com. For Friday, May 13th, the film from 2008 is Bottle Shock. I hope you enjoyed this film with us, based on a true story. Sure, Hollywood probably has its fingers in maybe, creative license for some of the stories, like, Chris Pine making out all the time with that hot chick. I don't know, but I hope you enjoyed it. Starring Alan Rickman, Bill Pullman, Chris Pine, Rachel Taylor as Sam. Thought it was creepy the time that she was trying to do some water work with a hose and everybody's just eating lunch and watching her. It was very demeaning to me. But anyhow,
It wasn't always like this. Before Paris, people didn't drink our wine. I mean, my friends did, but you could hardly consider their palates discerning. Hell, we were farmers. Sort of.
I really like the music in this film. They've got Doobie Brothers, and they've got this do as you heard in that, and it kind of runs throughout the theme. Basically, this independent film, you're taking two storylines. One is with Alan Rickman's character as a real man who has passed now, but his name's Steven Spurrier, a sommelier. And that goes on, and his buddy Dennis Farina, Maurice, they're in Paris. And he's got this crappy little wine shop, and it actually looks nice, but he doesn't get any business. And then the other storyline is at a real life Chateau Montelena on Tubbs Lane. Oh yeah, that's right. It's on Tubbs Lane. Matt, had you seen Bottle Shock? What were your early thoughts?
I hadn't, and I'm surprised I haven't heard of it. I learned a lot about wine.
Right.
And the culture there. So
It made me want to open up and I'm not a big white wine guy. I like reds, but it just wanted you to give me a bottle of this buttery, incredible Chardonnay that you're talking about. So Bill Pullman is Jim Barrett, who founded Chateau Montelena. Chris Pine is his son, Beau, who still operates, though they did more than a decade ago sell the Chateau Montelena label to a big conglomerate. But Beau is still making wine in the Napa Valley. But in a nutshell, this tells the story of how Napa wines made it big time. And they enter this contest that Alan Rickman's character ends up putting on. But speaking of the late, great Alan Rickman, just such an incredible actor.
I'm going to have to make some changes.
What changes?
I have to actually sell some wines, for one.
Why?
Because this is a business, Maurice.
Huh.
What?
You've got it all mixed up. You have La Académie du Vin, a school whose mandate, unless I am somehow mistaken, is to educate on wine. And what do you have on your shelves? 1 Chianti and 3 Rieslings. The rest are all French. It might as well be La Académie du Vin Français. But even if it was La Académie du Vin Français, it should seek to present its subject in a global context. What about the rest of the world, huh? I just read an article that said California is going to produce wine that will rival the finest of the French.
What? No way. Not in the 70s. This film, as I said, independent film put out by Freestyle Releasing. They don't give a budget, but it certainly was probably not a lot. It took in about $4.8 million at the box office. It's also interesting in living in Fresno, which there's a lot of grapes that are grown in that area for Gallo, for example, but there is a big immigrant population of people that work the fields. And in this scene, it's interesting. A lot of people, especially I can only imagine in the 70s, if you're of color, if you are brown skinned and you are say, Mexican or Ecuadorian or what have you, you're looked at as the help. You wouldn't know anything about wine. This was the scene, the blind taste test. And well, it explains itself.
Hey, everybody, listen up. Who here wants to wager a little money that this Mexican, son of an immigrant field hand, can't guess what kind of grapes are in these wines that our kind bartender has personally selected?
Any asshole can tell a Merlot from a Zinfandel.
Yeah, maybe. Can any asshole tell you the vintage?
All right, $10. And he has to guess all 3.
$10.
So that was, he ends up completely getting every single bottle correct, even though it was a blind taste test, showing that just because you're of color and it was in the 70s and you were of help, apparently. No, they knew a lot. In fact, the character that is played by Freddie Rodriguez, Gustavo Brambilla, is a very successful winemaker even today. This is when the sommelier, played by Rickman, meets Jim Barrett, and of all things, they're changing a flat tire.
So, the Académie du Vin in Paris is going to give people instruction in California wine.
Part of my thinking, yes, I just have to be sure I'm not introducing anything completely unpalatable.
Well, there are plenty of palatable wines in this country. Don't have to worry about that.
Yes. Well,
So they're on the side of a road in Napa. Now, we were talking about accuracy and maybe creative license. Steve Spurrier, who again is Rickman, who he plays, he did question the authenticity of the script, but you know it works. The sommelier goes finally, then visits down Tubbs Lane. He visits Chateau Montelena.
putting some blood into it now, are you?
Can I help you?
Could I purchase 2 bottles of the 73, please?
It's not ready.
I'll hold on to it.
Does this mean that you've picked the wines for your tasting?
I'll be making a formal announcement to the invited wineries and to the press.
So he comes over, this guy from Paris, who is really British, comes over, gets some California wine, and then he's going to put it in his contest. This was one of my favorite scenes as Steven Spurrier tries to go back to Paris with a whole bunch of wine.
The only problem is we can't get our wine there without your help.
So I'm only allowed to carry on 1 bottle of wine, and I've got 26 bottles of wine back to Paris without them being shaken or bumped around. Will anybody carry a bottle for me?
I'll take one, and so will my husband. I'm always proud to help a bellwether.
I'll take one. I'll carry one for you, sure.
Here. No.
Okay. Thanks so much.
My granddaddy made hooch during Prohibition.
Marvelous.
Treat these bottles with care, everybody.
I love this scene, and I also love at the end where he looks at the woman at the ticket counter and he sets a bottle of Chateau Montelena on the counter. She may be thinking he's going to give it to her as a gift, and then he grabs it and walks away. Thought it was great. There is some controversy and some conflict, of course. Oh my God, it's turned, our beautiful golden Chardonnay has turned brown.
We made buttery, beautifully layered, beautifully balanced Chardonnay. And it's brown. Now I gotta find a guy who can haul away 500 cases of wine because I can't stand to look at this.
Not Bill Pullman's character, he was not happy. Just for sake of time, the wine does turn back. It was an oxygenation, whatever the word is. It was an issue with oxygen, and it did turn back. And well, then it was the contest, and they could not believe that a California wine tasted this good. So it wasn't Jim Barrett that went to France. It was instead his son, Beau, who then decides to call back to the U.S. with some great news. They obviously didn't have cell phones back then.
I've read about it, but I've never seen it.
A stunning success. Stop. Took first place with a premier crew. Stop.
Yeah. Who is this? Time Magazine?
Time Magazine?
So then Chateau Montelena, especially a bottle of that 73 Chard, it becomes hot from coast to coast. Time Magazine writes about it. It's a feel-good ending, and Chateau Montelena, as mentioned, becomes a very, very successful winery. The film opens at that rinky-dink little French wine store. That's how it ends as well.
You okay, Pally?
Well, I'm a pariah among the cavistes and persona non grata to the vintners.
Well, I guess it could be worse.
We have shattered the myth of the invincible French vine, and not just in California. We've opened the eyes of the world.
And you know what I say? I say amen to that, brother.
You mark my words. We'll be drinking wines from South America, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, India, China. This is not the end, Maurice. This is just the beginning.
I love it. In the end, you see what happens with the graphics, the slates as they call them. Jim Barrett continued making wine in Napa until he was in his 80s. He has passed. His son Bo does still run Chateau Montelena, and this is really cool. A bottle of Montelena Chardonnay 1973, as well as a Stag's Leap Cabernet Sauvignon from 1973. They both won the competition that day, showing the French a thing or two. They're on a display case in the Smithsonian Institute. Drum roll, please. Matthew, seeing this for the first time, how many bottles of Danny Cash hot sauce do you give this?
A solid 7.
All right, drum roll, please. I give Bottle Shock 8 bottles of Danny Cash hot sauce. We'll have next week's film for you coming up on Monday about this time. Have a great weekend ahead. Don't forget the American Veteran Show on Sunday at noon. For Matt Steinkruger and Richard in the newsroom, Steffan Tubbs saying stay safe and healthy. Have a great weekend. And remember our troops. Good night.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of